You can count on CenterGuard. Get your free quote now at CenterGuardPlumbing.com. They're ready to help.
Jenny McGuire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny McGuire.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies and a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. By Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft. So Operation Midway Blitz is underway, was yesterday. And enterprising ABC 7 reporter Pierre Thomas did a ride-along with ICE. I want to do a ride-along. I did a ride-along with CPD back several years ago in Canaryville. I'll have to see if it could set me up for a ride-along with ICE. I'd like to see that myself. But Pierre Thomas, first up, and he reported on who ICE was looking for. Mass deportations, arresting grandmas and separating families and disappearing people. Is that what happened? Is that what Pierre Thomas saw?
Well, ICE said that they were going after the so-called worst of the worst. So the first phase of Operation Midway Blitz appears to be focusing on what they call criminals who are undocumented, who are living in the country, who have committed crimes here. The focus today was on a Venezuelan gang that they believe has been selling illegal guns on the streets of Chicago. And they emphasized that the main person they were looking for today had sold them about 14 guns, and they believe that they've been able to tie those guns that were sold undercover to ATF and other agencies to shootings, carjackings, and even homicides in your city.
Oh, interesting. I remember when all these Democrat, socialist panjan drums in the city and the state were hyper-focused on devoting our law enforcement resources to interdicting gun crime, getting illegal guns off the streets, dealing with gun traffickers. Wasn't that part of our conversation with Arnie Duncan last week? It was, in fact. And that's what ICE is doing. So when ICE does it, it's some sort of federal invasion, Trump takeover. And when CPD does it, or Father Flagler calls for it, or Kim Foxx says that's going to be the emphasis of her time as Cook County State's Attorney, then it's all on the up and up. It's all legit. It's praiseworthy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Pierre Thomas didn't do a very good job of demonizing ICE like you're supposed to do as a dutiful member of the D.C. Press Corps or one of its regional outposts like ABC 7 in Chicago. Yes, so I had this to say about his conversation with ICE agents as it pertains to, the masking up. These masked men in unmarked cars disappearing people.
But one of the things that I found most interesting today is that the ICE agents and the federal agents who are conducting these operations are, number one, very proud of what they're doing. They believe that it is the right thing to do. I asked specifically the question a lot of people have been asking, why do you see so many ICE agents with the face coverings to conceal their identity? I pressed them on that. And the agent who was supervising this operation today made the point that they've been doxxed, that they believe that some of these people are trying to find out where agents actually live, who their family members are. So they believe there's a real security concern in these operations, which have gotten so much national attention, and they believe that their agents and their families potentially are at risk.
Yeah, since Sanctuary State and City Pauls don't have their back, they're going to have their own backs. That's fair. They're allowed to provide for the safety of their family, too, not just the safety of other families. The emphasis, again, Tren de Aragua, the ATF special agent in charge in Chicago, Jonathan Maniff, said that along with agencies, including ICE, some 15 partner agencies, they identify 30 Tren de Aragua suspected gang members selling firearms in the Chicagoland area. They did not locate the main person they were looking for yesterday, but they did take a number of people into custody that were on their hit list, for illegal gun trafficking. Something that, again, the politicians here preen about until somebody comes in and does it for them at the behest of the Trump administration. Then all of a sudden, it's up in arms. And of course, that was the good news. And then the less good news, they're certainly entitled to do it. I don't know about locking down Michigan Avenue as they did, but the protesters were out in force yesterday, too, doing what they do. And the coverage, these intrepid protesters who won't be deterred from their noble mission. Noble mission of what? Protesting the rule of law? And it's of course reported as there's this groundswell. A couple of hundred protesters organized by Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights and some other partner organizations, probably funded at least in part by your tax dollars, who do this professionally. And they were able to muster a couple hundred people. Oh, the big protests over the weekend in Chicago, locking things down, 1,000 people. It's a big city. It's a populous region. That doesn't exactly strike me as necessarily representative of the general sentiment on these matters. But again, it was reported as such. And you platform people that are fronts for organizations that nobody's ever heard of, that, again, probably have a few dollars from a Soros nonprofit or the state of Illinois or some combination of the two, maybe local grants too. And we're supposed to indulge their observations about immigration law, like this woman, Reina Salim, from the, you know it, Reina Salim from the U.S. Palestinian Community Network.
We are going to keep fighting against the escalated ICE raids and attacks against our communities. Trump says that there's going to be war in Chicago, but I believe in the people power and the resistance here is strong.
People power. Trump did not say that. He said exactly the opposite, actually, after the hysterics associated with his Truth Social post. But more to the point, the ICE attacks on our community. You just heard what they were doing yesterday. Is that an attack on our community, or is that in furtherance of peace in our community? An attack on our community is looking for 30 identified Tren de Aragua gangbangers involved in illegal firearms trafficking. That's what those protesters call an attack on the community. I just want to get our terminology squared away here so we know what everybody's saying. And what was Governor Jelly Belly doing? Oh, he was legitimizing people who take positions like that, meeting with activists.
Governor J.B. Pritzker meeting with other activists as fear mounts in the immigrant community, addressing resistance strategies while also making clear he does not plan to ask for federal help like the National Guard.
We have not seen the bulk of those ICE agents yet in communities, but we have seen some, and we know that they are gathering steam.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Biss. He's a soy boy socialist mayor of Evanston. He served in the Illinois General Assembly for a spell. He's running for Congress to replace Schakowsky. He was on talking about the communications coming from the mayor's office in Evanston to the residents to warn them of that ICE operations could make their way to Evanston and so take evasive action.
Well, first of all, I am absolutely in the dark. The Trump administration wants to keep us guessing, wants to use our uncertainty to keep us afraid. But the reason that we communicated with our residents this morning is that I got information from a senior state official last night indicating that they had good intel that they thought it was likely that ICE would be coming to Evanston today and in the coming days. And we just felt that we had a responsibility to let our residents know so they could work to protect themselves. We've been doing everything we can to protect our residents from before Donald Trump took office, passing strong sanctuary laws to make sure our police are not cooperating with federal civil immigration enforcement, protecting our data, switching off our license plate cameras when we learned that that data was being shared. But we also need to make sure our residents know as much as possible so they can take the steps they need to protect themselves.
What resident would need to quote unquote protect themselves from ICE? You mean somebody in the country illegally that's on the list because they pose a public safety threat? So you're aiding and abetting people in this country illegally because you are warning them of that ICE operations could be coming to Evanston, and that's protecting them? Tipping off people in this country illegally, some of whom may pose a public safety threat, is protecting them from what? From law enforcement? I mean, it's, right up to the line of aiding and abetting.
I got trained in rapid response. So now when ICE comes to town, I get a text. I'm able to go immediately to the location, share rights that individuals have with them, inform them of their rights, videotape, bear witness, hold ICE officials accountable. We all need to do what we can in this moment. We're only going to be successful in protecting our communities from these attacks in solidarity.
ICE attacks, more ICE attacks. They want to keep us in the dark to heighten the fear, or they want to keep you in the dark because they're trying not to give people in this country illegally who pose a public safety threat the heads up so they can abscond before ICE gets there. Is that possible? Evanston, don't go changing. Mark and Rochelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to pose the question because I keep hearing more about this, but when are we going to make organizing protests illegal when they're paying them? I mean, I don't mind them organizing, but when they have corporations or companies that actually do it, that's not free speech. And I think they touch on quite illegal activities. And I think that some of it during COVID was like terrorism. So I might be a little extreme, but I just think it should be illegal.
Well, I disagree with you there, Mark. I mean, that would be a violation of what law exactly? I'm showing up to express an opinion, whether that opinion is bought and paid for or not. I have the right to express it. We're not getting into people's motivations for the opinions they express. So long as they're actually peaceful, not mostly peaceful, but actually peaceful. No, they have the right. They don't have the right to sort of shut down main thoroughfares at their leisure. They don't have the right to shut down the Dan Ryan, as we've seen so many times, or Lakeshore Drive or Michigan Avenue. There's permitting and things like that, time, place, manner restrictions. But no, I mean, you can pay people to be protesters, and that is, well within the color of First Amendment protections. Coming up at 5:38, we'll take a couple more of your calls on this and also turn our attention to the attention that Caroline Leavitt paid to the lawlessness on the streets of Chicago, on the trains in Charlotte. That's at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former President Biden is being criticized by the White House following a revised jobs report. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the Biden administration overreported the addition of 2 million jobs during the former president's tenure.
In the benchmark year, March 2024 to 2025, shows that the job growth was vastly weaker during the Biden administration than ever previously reported. This makes it very clear that President Trump inherited a much worse economy by the Biden administration than ever reported.
The White House has called on the Federal Reserve to take action on interest rates.
It also proves that the Federal Reserve is holding our monetary policy far too restrictive. Interest rates are too high. The Fed needs to cut the rates because of the mess that we inherited from the Biden administration.
The president fired the Labor Department's stats chief, a Biden appointee, back on August 1st due to possible manipulation of data on poor jobs reports during Trump's first months in office. This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. When you hear that a small Blizzard treat is just 85 cents with the $1 purchase in the DQ app, you might feel like you're dreaming. You're not. Hurry and get your small Blizzard treat for just 85 cents with $1 purchase when you sign up for DQ Rewards only at participating locations. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now,
Hugh Hewitt is shocked to see action.
First time in 35 years, I think the UN has actually done something. They found a tunnel full of Hezbollah weaponry and explosives. And in concert with the Lebanese army, they blew up the tunnel. So cheers for the UN. They finally did something. Took them as long as I've been on the air.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
So how long were you told you'd be on that medication you're taking? That's what I thought. Question, do you believe it's possible for you to be set free of the medication you're currently on? Or will you be stuck taking it forever, not to mention all of the side effects? Imagine what it would feel like to be drug-free. You know, the United States makes up less than 5% of the world's population, yet we use over 85% of the world's supply of medication. That's 95% of the world using 15% of the leftover medications, with over 53 other countries living longer than we do here in the United States today. So instead, let's help your body regain its health naturally. Begin your adventure in health with us today by calling our HealthQuest radio hotline and reserve your very own new patient strategy consultation with me. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Oh, and listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, every Saturday morning at 11.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Moving into Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft, and we were talking about Operation Midway Blitz moving on out yesterday in Chicago, looking for Tren de Aragua illegal gun traffickers, and that's somehow an attack on the community. That's the rhetoric you hear from the leftist politicians and their apparatchiks. Tom Homan, just to continue this conversation for a moment, take your calls 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Tom Homan was on with Morning Joe to talk a little bit about this, and in particular with respect to ICE operations in Boston, because that has also come under criticism from the same types, same profile. But it's sort of bizarre. Maura Healey saying this of her state. She's the governor there. And she's a lesbian, so she's a magical person. Saying this of her state, eschewing the title sanctuary state.
City. Can you explain the discrepancy there and what your strategy is exactly when you say Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state?
It's not a strategy. It's just the fact. Nor is Boston a sanctuary city.
Interesting that she doesn't want to own that moniker. That's interesting. But in terms of how it actually operates in practice, not only is Boston a sanctuary city, a whole handful of other cities are sanctuary cities within the state of Massachusetts. And, basically, maybe there isn't a formal declaration of we are a sanctuary city and raise some sort of flag, but that's how it operates. I mean, Michelle Wu, Barrington's very own, up for re-election, and I think she's squaring off against Bob Kraft's kid. Well, that should be interesting. Another opportunity for accountability. We'll see if Boston is the metropolis that wants to take it. Michelle Wu, we expect federal law enforcement will abide the Constitution and laws of the city, Commonwealth, and country. We're prepared to take legal action at any evidence to the contrary. She basically, made the sanctuary declaration that our people are not going to cooperate with those people. You can call it a sanctuary city or not, but that's how it operates. If you're unwilling, as a matter of ideology, to cooperate with federal law enforcement to enforce immigration law, that is by definition what everyone is talking about when they use the term sanctuary city or sanctuary state. So, okay, we don't like to be referred to as that, but we like to behave like we are. Well, what have ICE ops accomplished in Boston? Tom Homan has the receipts.
In the last couple of days, what's happened in Boston? They've arrested Victor Gomez Perez, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Guatemala, with charges of aggravated rape, assault and battery with dangerous weapon, indecent assault and battery on a victim 14 years or younger. They arrested Kaylee Espinosa, a 34-year-old criminal alien from Colombia, with charges of aggravated assault on a pregnant victim. They arrested Joshua Gonzalez, a 23-year-old criminal alien from Dominican Republic, with charges for trafficking heroin, morphine, opium, resisting police, disorderly conduct, and drug distribution. They also arrested Samuel Armando Barrera, a 20-year-old criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, pending charges for assault and battery on a child. So Mayor Wu and Governor Healy, they ought to be calling ICE and thanking them for making their streets safer, for protecting their communities and taking these people off the street. They've turned a blind eye to this. They're sanctuary cities. Sanctuaries, cities and sanctuary states are sanctuaries for criminals. Give ICE access to the jail to arrest a bad guy in the jail rather than have to go in the community to find them. Because when you go in the community and find them, it puts ICE officers at greater risk. It puts the community at greater risk. It puts the alien at greater risk because anything can happen on a street risk. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to prioritize public safety threats. But when you got governors and mayors who are releasing these public safety threats every day into the community.
Yeah. It becomes a problem if public safety is your real interest. That's an attack on the city of Boston, is it? That's the rhetoric we're hearing. Homan was also asked by a very befuddled Mika on Morning Joe. Like, she wants to get this clear. Like, what constitutes, illegal immigration? What constitutes being targeted for apprehension by ICE and potential deportation? Because it's such a mystery.
Well, let's break this down. First of all, entering the country legally is a crime. First of all, if you're in the country legally, it's not okay. Knowingly hiring an illegal alien is also a crime. And I said from day one, we're going to do worksite enforcement operations. Let me give you just one example why this is important. And this is a true example. I put a new roof in my house a few years ago. I had to call 5 different companies until I got a company that guaranteed me a legal workforce. And one of the people that showed up was a father and son who at one time employed 20 U.S. citizens in their company. But they couldn't win a bid to replace a roof because they couldn't compare themselves to a company that hired illegal aliens, giving them $5 to get on the roof, where he's paying U.S. citizens $20 to get on the roof. So he lays off 20 U.S. citizen employees because he couldn't compete with illegal alien workforce. That happens every day across this country 1,000 times. So hiring an illegal alien, first of all, no one hires an illegal alien out of the goodness of their heart. They hire because they work them harder, pay them less, and undercut the competition who has U.S. citizen employees. It'll also drive down wages. Just an example I told you, drives down wages overall. So enforcing, one of the reasons people come to this country illegally is to get a job. And that's an enticement and that's a magnet. And I'm telling you, thousands under Joe Biden in 4 years. 4,000 aliens died making that journey. Historic record. People put themselves. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. We have a nation of laws. We got to follow those laws.
Yeah, and the key part is the last part. I mean, we can talk about the Hyundai raid and talk about the jobs piece too, but I would like to flip the script on Mika and her fellow travelers. So explain to me, Mika, because the law is pretty clear, as Holman explained. Explain to me who gets exempted from having to follow the law. What are the circumstances? Who makes the determination? You do? Do we have a plebiscite? And we all, as a country, we review each case and we give a thumbs up or thumbs down on a person in this country illegally who gets to stay versus one who has to go? I don't understand. And for those who you say have to go, how would you have them leave? When they're ready? Because you're part of the crowd, well, that is repeating the talking point we're hearing all the time, that ICE law enforcement operations are attacks on the community. So you obviously oppose those in the same breath that you say, well, of course, violent criminals that are here illegally, of course they should be deported. Well, how does that happen? Because ICE is a terrorist organization, according to all these sanctuary city and sanctuary state politicians. So which is it? I'm confused. Who gets to follow or who gets to break laws that they don't feel like following and who doesn't? Just lay it out for us so we know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Brian in Wheatfield, Indiana.
Morning, Dan. Hey, watching like WGN, they talk about the ICE raids and the protesters, but they never play where Tom Holman says, hey, we're law enforcement. We're just enforcing the law. If you don't like the laws, change it. So should we be calling these newsrooms and saying, how come you're not playing this side of the story? I just get so tired of seeing the one-sidedness of these stories that people never get to hear the rest of it. And I don't know, is there anything we can do as watchers and viewers, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly put a call in, shoot an email in there. I mean, I don't know what good it'll do with, given the ideological composition of these network affiliates and establishment outlets, legacy outlets. But you could try, sure. You can at least go on the record. Can't hurt. Or just ask the questions we're asking. Why don't you put those out, and ask those of the politicians that you speak with when you're there to cover Pritzker meeting with activists? What does that mean? Activists for what? For abrogating the rule of law? That's how you describe an activist? Or is that an interloper? Is that a subversive? Are those better terms? ICE, the cruelty and terror is the point. Those are the words of J.B. Pritzker talking about ICE and National Guard. They're a terrorist organization. They're here to inflict terror on migrant communities. Is that what you think they're doing? Which part of the ride-along that Pierre Thomas did with ICE yesterday and the collection of federal agencies that are working in concert with one another, which part of that constitutes an act of terrorism? Which part of that do you have a problem with? So you don't want illegal gun traffickers removed and illegal gun trafficking stopped? I thought you did. So which is it? You do when Arnie Duncan or Father Flager says so, but you don't when Trump or federal law enforcement says so? Explain this all to me. It's so confusing. Roger, Southside.
Morning, Dan. I would think that Governor Jelly Belly is more concerned about who's going to staff all Marriott branches and the other 60-something NGO companies that he has city, state, and federal contracts with. So that's a big concern for him. Answer your question real fast. Who determines, who's illegal and why they're here? That would be the village of Evanston.
Yes, that's right.
Is the correct answer. Yeah. Last thing, it's great to know that all these lawsuits, whether it be Illinois or across the countries, that are being placed against the current administration in the White House are all taxpayer funded. You know, Jelly Belly, why can't he pays for his own state employees above and beyond what the salaries are to buy loyalty? Why can't he file these lawsuits on his own as well?
Thanks for the call, Roger. Holman and Mika also had this exchange on the whole disappearing business, you know, the demonization of ICE and the just outright lying about what's happening. I mean, let's just call it what it is. We don't need to come up with fancy terms. Fabrication.
And you using the term disappearing people
well,
is
that's
disgusting.
What's happened. That happened to the group that was sent to El Salvador.
U.S. citizens get arrested every day. U.S. citizens get arrested by police every day. Are they being disappeared? No, their laws are being enforced. They're being arrested. They're being put in detention because they committed a criminal offense.
Not like what you're doing.
Not even close. We're enforcing the law and arresting people here in violation of law that are public safety threats. That's not disappearing people. That's enforcing the laws of this country and making this country safer.
Well, it's a real tell there by Mika, too. First of all, ICE detainers that are not honored in these sanctuary cities and these sanctuary states. And in terms of the Hyundai raid, you had Department of Homeland Security talking about the months-long investigation, collecting evidence, going and getting a warrant for a search of that Hyundai facility in Georgia. And so the whole no due process is a lie. That's another fabrication. In addition to that, it's really interesting, Mika, to compare your reaction to his comparison of domestic criminals to imported ones, because you've just told us that you don't think there's any distinction between citizens and non-citizens in terms of rights and privileges, which we knew you believed, but that was an excited utterance because a dingbat like her doesn't even know what she's saying. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking a call, Dan. You know, it's funny to see the Democrats trip over themselves. I mean, the Hyundai plant was violating every ordinance of the EEOC. They hired a specific group of people, and they said everyone else can't get a job here. But the Democrats are supposed to be concerned with equality and diversity. Didn't get that message that Hyundai was sending out about equality and diversity. It's just laughable to see them sit back and say things that they don't practice.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah, well, I mean, just as an aside, a quick aside about Hyundai. I mean, the idea that they have all these, South Korea is so upset with the Trump administration. All the political parties there are unified against him and excoriating him for this raid and so on and so forth. I'm sorry. You don't get to sort of impose a workforce you want on American soil. Who said anything about that? Now, I know they worked it out to repatriate those few hundred South Korean employees at that Hyundai facility. But, I mean, did you ever see gung-ho? You got to use the domestic workforce, buddy. Number one. Number two, South Korea is an ally, but a dubious one. There was a good piece in Fox Business the other day about South Korea shielding China, targeting U.S. tech, that they're doing, they're sort of playing China and the U.S. against the middle, trying to be on both sides. So let's just pump the brakes on this great offense that we've committed to our reliable ally, South Korea. First of all, even if you were a reliable ally, the laws of the United States still apply. What do you think? Phil in Lyle.
Hey, Dan. My question is, number one, who keeps watching this network news? It's all lies and propaganda. And number two, everybody wants a union wage, but nobody wants to pay a union wage. Have we learned nothing from the past? Pick your own damn cotton.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Pete in Northwest Side.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. And nice deep cut with that gung-ho reference.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, can somebody ask Mika Brzezinski if that poor girl on the train in North Carolina would have liked to have some ICE agents in her car?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, the great irony of all those "I stand with Ukraine" and opening the doors to Ukrainian refugees, which I generally agree with, in terms of being a sanctuary for refugees fleeing political or religious violence. Sure, okay. And where are they now? Where are they now? I mean, and it's the same thing when other migrants are killed. People that are here illegally are killed by violent predators that we have welcomed into this country. Now, we, the Biden administration. I mean, the contradictions of these open borders simpletons abound. There is not a single logical thread they can stitch together with respect to anything they say about this issue. It's really something to watch and hear. Greg Schomburg.
Morning, Dan. Question. In view of your point of needing to make the case, in view of the black woman with that red shirt that went viral over the weekend from when she was applauding Trump putting these people in Chicago, why doesn't Donald Trump come to Chicago to seize that initiative? He's got the Trump Tower down there. He could do it outside, inside. And I think the scene for America, seeing a bunch of black people and white people standing together in Chicago en masse, would be very powerful. Why doesn't that happen?
Well, thanks for the call, Greg. I mean, it's not a terrible idea. He's got a lot of places to visit. He was at a D.C. restaurant yesterday celebrating the impact that scrambling the National Guard there has had with Vance and Hegseth. I get it. I mean, those visuals are important. I don't disagree. And, the ultimate troll to not send the National Guard here, but to send himself here, stand with ICE agents, as you say, the Chicago Flips Red activists and others. Be fun. I don't disagree. Maurice Berwin.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Dan is separating the moral from the legal. Yes, when you come to this country illegally, you are violating the law. But why can't these companies be fined? If I used to have to review I-9s and I did HR, they're violating the law. They should be fined if they're hiring illegals.
Yeah,
and I think that should be part of comprehensive, legislation.
Yeah.
And it's something Trump did say himself, that some of these people who've been here for a long time should just not be swept up. That's what he said himself. I don't know what day of the week it was when he said it, but that was part of it. Well, everyone should not go.
Well, thanks for the call, Maurice. I mean, yes, on the penalties on both sides of the activity, the illicit activity, I agree. In terms of not everybody is going to go. Yeah, I know. But I mean, Trump has always been willing to make sensible deals on this with respect to Dreamers. Remember, he tried to make that deal. And those open borders Democrats in Congress wouldn't do it first term. So, yes, all of the things that we talk about, nobody is against immigration. Well, there are some people, I suppose, but I'm not one of them. And I don't think Trump is either. We recognize the importance of it, but it's got to be done in a way that's sensible and considered and under the color of the law. And it's just hard to deal with the left on any of those matters, isn't it? It's now 6 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
As war in Ukraine spills into NATO territory. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Drones flew into Poland, a U.S. ally. One reportedly hit a house.
Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says 19 Russian drones entered his country's airspace, with 4 considered direct threats shot down. Tusk says a line has been crossed, and this brings us the closest we've been to open conflict since World War II. Drones have been reported over Poland before, including twice last week, and NATO jets have scrambled, but never this many drones, and these are the first shots fired by a NATO nation during the war between Russia and Ukraine.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. Hamas says its top leaders survived Israel's airstrike in Qatar, where Gaza ceasefire talks are being held, but 5 lower-level members were killed. President Trump says he's not thrilled with Israel's action.
I will say this, we want the hostages back.
He spoke outside a restaurant in Washington, which he calls crime-free now, after his federalization of D.C. police that ends today. The 30-day period's up.
We all work together, and the outcome is really spectacular. We have a capital that's very, very safe right now.
Federal agents can still remain on patrol, and National Guard troops will remain in D.C. Their deployment deployment has already been extended through November. The president also says he could announce as soon as today a crackdown on crime in another city. When he went into the restaurant last night to dine with cabinet members, the president was met by a group of protesters. Some chanted "Free D.C. and Free Palestine." The man accused of stabbing a Ukrainian woman to death on a Charlotte train last month is also now charged with a federal crime.
The U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, Russ Ferguson, said this is a local murder case.
The federal crime we have is because it happened on a light rail system and because Congress has decided that that is essential to society.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal's report. The Federal Reserve Governor, President Trump, fired last month, still on the job, and Lisa Cook can stay there after a federal judge blocked the president, ruling he could not fire Cook for cause over an alleged mortgage fraud she denies because those allegations predate her time as a Fed governor. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Governor Pritzker's confirmed that federal immigration agents are in Chicago. Pritzker says about 200 ICE agents with access to 100 vehicles are expected to be on the ground in the city.
People are, frankly, afraid. In our communities, they're afraid to come out of their homes. They're afraid to go shopping. They're afraid to take their own children to school.
Pritzker's comments come after the Department of Homeland Security announced it was launching an immigration crackdown this week in Chicago and across the state. Due to all this, protesters were hitting the street to rally against President Trump's increased federal immigration operations. Hundreds gathered in downtown last night for a rally at Congress Plaza Garden.
We must organize. We must stay in the streets and keep each other safe.
Demonstrators also marched on Michigan Avenue. The protest was coordinated by the Coalition Against the Trump Agenda and the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Darren Bailey is seeking a rematch with Governor Pritzker. The former Republican state senator is reportedly planning to run for governor of Illinois again next year. Cook County Republican Party Chairman Aaron Delmar says he agreed to be his running mate. A former campaign announcement is expected later this month. Bailey lost to Pritzker in the governor's race in 2022. And it looks like the Bears are a step closer to moving to Arlington Heights. Team president and CEO Kevin Warren sent a letter to season ticket holders indicating that the organization plans to build a domed stadium in the northwest suburb. He added the Bears continue to work with the village to get the necessary approvals to start the construction. News is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each item is priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive cash or check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher wants to see credit where credit is due.
What are the progressives who hate Trump going to do if Trump brokers peace between Russia and Ukraine? What are the lefties who are all enamored with Ukraine going to say about Trump, hypothetically, achieving peace between these two warring countries?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Unreadable, inconsistent part marking is more than a nuisance. It's a liability. When your part marks fade, your quality and credibility also fade. GT Schmidt helps manufacturers leave a permanent mark on their products. Laser, dot peen, scribe, and roll marking systems. Our machines engrave everything from serial numbers, date codes, certification marks, barcodes, 2D matrices, and logos on metal, plastic, anodized coatings, and more. GT Schmidt laser systems provide high speed, versatility, and durability with non-contact precision. Harsh environment, rugged parts? GT Schmidt pin markers produce deep, reliable marks. Parts small or large, flat or round, we engineer systems to your specific application. GT Schmidt, the name for dependable part identification and traceability, setting the standards since 1895. Right now, save 10% off standard GeoMark Pro lasers and standard Styliner pin markers. Visit gtschmidt.com for the marking machine that's right for you. Made in the USA. GT Schmidt, your mark made to last.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes, outbound 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, about 14 minutes, outbound 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes, outbound about 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes, outbound is about 16 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 14 minutes, outbound is 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies and a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. By Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt weighed in on the murder of Ukrainian refugee. Irina Zarutska. Slava Ukraini, right? Where's Adam Kinzinger when you need him? Caroline Leavitt essentially building on the comments that President Trump had made in his remarks at the U.S. Bible Museum the day before, talking about the failure of the criminal justice system in Charlotte. By the way, the mayor just won her primary election. No consequences. 14 arrests, at least 14 arrests. The individual charged with first-degree murder in the killing of Zarutska. Supposedly a history of mental illness. Served several years in prison. It's a history of violent crime in addition to general crime. And this was the approach that an African-American judge took after his last arrest. And yes, we're going to talk about race.
Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, who I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness.
Well, it is madness. Here's the other thing, too, this mental illness assertion. Did that judge or any other judge submit him for psych evaluation? Did he have the mens rea to subscribe to that promise, to return to court? This was part of a larger hammering.
This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States.
This is part of a larger hammering that Caroline Leavitt did about no cash bail, which, of course, incorporates Illinois.
Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price of the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity in criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not. That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote diversion and other alternatives to arrest. It also advised to de-emphasize some felony crimes, prioritize, quote, restorative justice, and eliminate cash bail. Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are consumed with pushing a woke, soft-on-crime agenda, no matter how many innocent Americans suffer as a result.
Roy Cooper, responding on X, the murder of Irina Zarutska, horrible tragedy, must do everything we can to keep people safe. Only a cynical D.C. insider would think it's acceptable to use her death for political points, especially one who supported cutting funding to law enforcement in North Carolina. I've been attorney general and governor, dedicating my career to putting violent criminals behind bars and keeping them there. It's time Michael Whatley, RNC chairman, running for Senate, and the GOP get serious in Washington about funding law enforcement. And that's what I'll do as senator. Right. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Scoring political points. You're making this political. Gruesome murder in North Carolina ignites a firestorm on the right. New York Times headline. Wall Street Journal headline. Women's stabbing becomes MAGA talking point. Those are the takeaways? Oh, we're making this political? Well, it is political in the sense that something terrible happened, and it implicates terrible public policy that facilitates bad things happening, that provides perverse incentives and creates moral hazards such that bad things keep happening to people who are not doing anything wrong. So, of course, we're going to have a political discussion on it because it relates to the rule of law in a free society. It's political. It's political. Just to talk about just another mindless talking point. People are living in fear. And fear of what? Law enforcement? They're living in fear of the rule of law. They're living in fear of having to pay the price for breaking the law. So we should absolve them from having to follow the law? It's political. Yeah, it's political because we have politicians that are arguing against the enforcement of laws, against the rule of law. So what do we do about those politicians? Ridiculous. Joe Lonsdale, the great venture capitalist, responding to Roy Cooper. This death, like so many others, is directly tied to your idiotic virtue-signaling leftist policies, full stop. Only cynical leftists would use a criminal's fentanyl overdose for a national movement, which numbers don't justify. But this is justified and honorable. Mm-hmm. By the way, there's also the suggestion that any coverage of the racial dynamic here, black assailant, white Ukrainian female victim, is, sort of his Jim Crow-esque. Even though there's reports, now I haven't seen this confirmed, there's reports that the killer made a reference to Irina Zarutska's race. We'll see if that checks out. Been reports. Regardless, the power structure here, since identitarians love to focus on identity, okay, you got me. The power structure here is, it's not just about race, it's also about political persuasion, and in reverse order. Political ideology first, race second. But that's a part of it because their race informs their ideology. They're identitarians. Neo-Marxists who use identity where Marx used class. Black mayor, majority black city council, who, by the way, took time out, as you probably saw, some of you, to have like a little birthday party for somebody in the Charlotte administration or on the city council. I don't know who. I don't particularly care. They had a little cake and so on and so forth before they discussed what occurred on this train. Joe Lonsdale posting the stats. Just, you want to do this, white supremacy, 80% of the crime in this country is the result of white supremacy and so on and so forth. These stats that people like race hustlers like Jasmine Crockett and other members of the Socialist Spice Girls like to bandy about. National Bureau of the Bureau of Justice Statistics, National Crime Victimization Survey from 2018, 59,778 crimes, white assailant, black victim, violent crimes. 59,778, white assailant, black victim of a violent crime. 547,948 black assailant, white victim, violent crime. Adjusted for population size, black people commit violent crimes against white people at a rate of 41 times that of the reverse. It's just data. Make of it what you will. You don't have a real conversation about violent crime in metropolitan areas, or don't you? You want to use race in only one direction, or talk about race in only one direction? No, I don't think so. Especially with, as we've talked about a lot over the years, more black individuals in public office than ever before, and the black populations in these metropolitan areas doing worse. The schools they have access to aren't getting the job done. Neighborhoods are largely unsafe or disproportionately unsafe as compared to other neighborhoods in these metropolitan areas. Can I introduce you to the south and west sides of Chicago as compared to, say, the Gold Coast, Lakeview, Lincoln Park? Is this in controversy? And yet we are on our heels when they want to use, these identitarian politicians, these neo-Marxists, when they want to use race as a cudgel. Three 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Now, the flip side of this, something else that has come to more prominence with a full video of this attack, this murder released. I mean, it's terrible. This guy stands up over her. You see her finally recognize that he is about to attack her. She looks up in fear, and he comes down. I mean, I hate to describe it, but he comes down and stabs her multiple times. She's like, puts her head in her hands. I think she's, half in shock. And then the injuries she sustained take effect. She slumps over in the bench that she was sitting in on that train and then falls down to the floor and bleeds out. And the other thing that we see, again, is the bystander effect. No one rendered aid. Now, I mean, I don't know. We don't have an expansive amount of time, but it was, you have people that are sitting in her vicinity who had to have seen what happened, had to have seen her slump over and fall to the floor, bleeding. There is blood on the floor of the train, and no one renders aid. So there's multiple levels of social commentary here. And, I've mentioned this before, but I will again, this story, to refresh people's recollection, because I actually wrote about this bystander effect problem almost a decade ago. And it was on the occasion of Marquise Gaines, who was a bartender who worked in like Hubbard Street corridor somewhere, who got cold-cocked by a guy outside the 7-Eleven that I think it's still, no, I don't think it's still there. But anyway, the 7-Eleven on State and Hubbard. He gets knocked in, this guy just loitering outside the 7-Eleven, up to no good. Marquise Gaines black guy, just went into the 7-Eleven to get something to drink and a bag of chips after his shift. So it's early morning on a weekend. He gets cold-cocked for no reason, didn't do anything wrong. He's lying unconscious on the street, on State Street, just around the corner off of Hubbard. And you see the video of this from security cameras from Caddy Corner. People walking across the street around him, lying unconscious on the street. And then you see a couple people run up and rifle through his pockets and take his stuff. And then ultimately, as nobody did anything, you have a cab going down Hubbard to make a right on State, and there's a car double parked, and he goes around the double parked car, and he doesn't see Marquise Gaines, and he runs him over and he kills him. I'm recalling from my own op-ed in the Tribune on this, more than a dozen people nearby failed to come to his aid. One person, reportedly an employee of the 7-Eleven on the corner, called 911. At the time, right around the time, Cornell University sociologists released a study that found only 1 in 39 Americans would respond to assist their fellow man in a health emergency. And if you add race as a factor, it gets worse if it's a black person in a health emergency. Just data, both ways, always. The response rate for a black person with a health emergency, according to this Cornell study, 1 in 55 people would respond, would help, compared to 1 in 24 for a white person in a health emergency. It's particularly chilling commentary on our society, isn't it? Tony Roselle.
Good morning. Thank you. Two aspects to this stabbing on the transit system. One, Daniel Penny. People get involved in something like this, and they're going to be excoriated and prosecuted and made to be the problem.
Well, that's part of the problem, yeah.
Those normal people on these transit systems aren't allowed to carry any sort of weapon. Some transit systems restricting even the carrying of mace. So you go on these things thinking you're safe, you're following the rules, not carrying a weapon, and then this guy walks up and you got nothing. I can't take a 50-year-old. No one's going to get in this lunatic's face, and he's going to start. You need 4 or 5 guys to stand up simultaneously because no one's allowed to carry a weapon to defend themselves.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the call, Tony. I mean. Yeah, well, if I was riding the L in Chicago, which I'm not, I would be carrying. I don't really care what Brandon Johnson has to say about it. Oh, am I not following the law? Somebody want to moralize to me in Chicago about following the law? The sanctuary city? In the sanctuary county of the sanctuary state? Please. Tell me about the rule of law when you have engendered lawlessness. Jose, Northside.
Hello?
Yeah, Jose, go ahead.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I'm a Cuban-American patriot, and I hate communism, but the only thing that I like about them, this subhuman would be exterminated on the spot. And another thing, I got carry concealed. These little signs, I'm strapped every day because nobody is coming to help you. People have to realize that. So thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, Jose. Yeah. It is sickening to watch. I mean, the other part of this, too, is I can understand to some extent. This guy's got a knife. He's a lunatic. He just stabbed this woman. I don't want to get stabbed. I can understand that. He walks away from her after he stabs her, and he's getting off the train. She is slumped over on the floor, bleeding out, and still nobody helps. Pretty sickening. Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. It is sickening. I was at the fabrication show yesterday at McCormick Place, and I take the train down, shuttles down to the center, and I heard a bunch of guys talking at the show about how their hotels were saying that there may be protests and problems with the shuttle buses getting to and from the show. And these guys are like, you know what? If that's the case, and with the increase in crime, we're just not going to come here anymore, not going to exhibit or even attend the show. I know next year it's going to be in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to come here the year after that, but people may tell the people putting on the show that we just don't want to do this. I mean, yesterday when I came back, there were 2 women getting off the bus at J.W. Marriott right off of LaSalle and Adams, and they were terrified to leave the bus. They're asking the driver, "Is this okay?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's this is a decent neighborhood, but like any big city, you got to watch out wherever you are. It's just all that money's going to leave, and it ain't coming back if things keep going the way they are." Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, Greg. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hey, Dan. I remember when you put the Screamer ad out, and you talked to Amy about Amy being, she has her guns in a safe, and she doesn't have them handy to run out and go after anybody, which is not a good idea. I think you need to have your gun nearby. But people don't want to get involved, and people don't care. People don't care. I'm trained to get out there and help people because I got to keep up my CPR thing and all that for being a trainer. So I would go to someone's aid. I would never let anybody bleed out. I don't think I'd be thinking of myself. I don't think I'd be worried to get involved. I think and you know how when you're a mom, you throw yourself in front of a bus for your kid. I have that kind of attitude towards it. And I just think it's a sad commentary on our society. And I'm glad you wrote that article. I'll go back and look for it and read it. People should care about their fellow human, and the sad thing is they just don't. And you see it in the attitude of, the young people who have moved into my neighborhood. They're about, I'd say 70% of them are just keep their head down. They don't talk to the old folks who live around here. They just don't want to.
Not my problem. Not my problem.
Nothing's their problem. They say that. That's what's even sicker. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not my.
Isn't
it sick?
Yeah. Thanks for the comment, Kate. Not my problem. And then they cloak themselves in community. The next breath. Oh, about the community this and the community that. Yeah, oh yes. You're a real communitarian, aren't you? Richard, downtown.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I was on a 156 bus, and for no reason at all, I don't know if she was homeless or not, she turned around and started beating up on the lady sitting next to her, punched her in the mouth. I threw her off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I would not allow her to come back on the bus. And it took like a minute or two to get her to disperse. And I turned to the driver after it was over and I said, "Where were you when all this was happening?" And he said, "I pushed the button."
Push the button. Yeah.
For the police. Yeah, for the police.
Right.
Yeah, right. Good.
Right.
But everybody else just stood around and watched. No problem. Yep, no problem.
Yeah. Well, good for you, Richard, for intervening. I mean, there's several different iterations of the societal sickness here. One is the response from Van Jones. Did you catch this?
We don't know why that man did what he did. We don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Hurt people hurt people. What do you want to put that on a T-shirt, Van? We have to understand the hurt of this 14-time criminal. Right, that's the sickness within the identitarian class and within the power structure of most of these big cities. Most of the big cities not named Dallas, where the mayor flipped from being a Democrat to a Republican a couple years ago, and it was over this issue of public safety. So some people are wising up. We'll see if some people in Chicago will. I'm not holding out a ton of hope. Coming up at 6:36, latest installment of Campus Beat. That's 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is going after prescription drug advertising.
He signed a memorandum that closes a loophole allowing companies to point consumers to another source, like their own website, for all of the information about the product's side effects or risks.
CDC is a broken agency. It's presided over the biggest decline in health of any country in the world. And we're going to change that. We have to make change there.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says this step will make it a lot harder for companies because it takes pages to list all of the side effects. Kennedy predicts a typical drug commercial would now have to be 4 minutes long to list everything required. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And today is National TV Dinner Day. Bree Tennis with two of Americans' favorite things to do together.
Eating in front of the TV came about in 1954 with the invention of the Swanson TV dinner. Since then, eating in front of the television has become increasingly popular. A YouGov poll shows 63% of us take dinner with a side of TV. Psychologists say don't do it because it distracts the brain and makes us mindless eaters. That means we eat more. But with so much good programming and so much good food, it's hard to resist. I'm Bree Tennis.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Explains where the Democrats are.
Increasingly, the Democrat Party represents a very elite, coastal, college-educated oligarchy and a government-addicted minority. Basically, people that are so addicted to government benefits that they need to vote for the Democrat Party for them to sustain their lifestyle.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Costco just made a bold move, and it's a win for life. After months of pressure from investors, the retail giant announced it will not sell the abortion pill mifepristone at any of its pharmacies nationwide. Costco claims the decision was based on, quote, lack of demand. But let's be honest, It's reading the room, too. The era of companies selling a board of drugs that politicize their brands and kill their future customers may be coming to an end. This is what happens when values meet action. Christian and conservative investors made it clear selling abortion drugs isn't just bad ethics, it's bad business. And Costco listened. Its choice, not to dispense mifepristone, sends a clear message to the rest of corporate America. While Planned Parenthood downplays the impact, pro-life advocates are celebrating this as a major victory. Let's treat that as something worth applauding.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. And right now, AM 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty with their Generac. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Rick Borick talks about the risk of being in the stock market right near retirement.
It's easy to drive around with no seatbelt on if you never think you're going to have an accident, right? And you go, well, it's never going to go down. I don't need protection for my portfolio. We're a big fan of getting those gains, but we're also a bigger fan of not taking huge losses.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Guess who's watching Rob Finnerty on Newsmax? President Trump is. He even says Finnerty's show is so terrific. Millions are joining President Trump to watch Finnerty every night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax. All this week, Rob looks at the media's war on President Trump. Rob gives you the facts about the National Guard in cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. He tells you the real truth about the Jeffrey Epstein files, and he reveals the big media's agenda on Trump's health. You need to watch Rob Finnerty on Newsmax. Check out your local cable system. Newsmax is on all major systems. Or download the free Newsmax app. It costs you nothing, and you can watch in minutes. Finnerty is the fastest growing primetime news show in America. Find out why even President Trump is tuning in. More than 40 million Americans go to Newsmax for news they can trust. Because we are real news for real people.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, about 12 minutes. Outbound, 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 20 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 24 minutes. Outbound, about 16 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 20 minutes. That's due to a crash. Left lane's blocked. Going to be between 35th and Roosevelt. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Moving into Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus
Top of the morning, Dan Proft. This is Solomon at Campus Beat. I mean, this is something we'll get to a little bit later in the show in more detail, but those NAEP scores, oh boy. The National Assessment for Educational Progress test scores, looking at 8th graders and 12th graders. Math, reading, science scores all down from 2019. The acting commissioner of the National Center for Ed Stats called the results sobering. Yeah. I think they're actually the opposite. I wanted to have a drink after reading them, thinking about the future of the country. The drop in overall scores coincides with significant declines in achievement among our lowest performing students, continuing a downward trend that began even before the COVID-19 pandemic. I got an idea, pour more money into these schools. 31% proficient, meaning grade level proficient in 31% of 8th graders grade level proficient in science. 22% of 12th graders grade level proficient in math. 35% of 12th graders grade level proficient in reading. Some of these scores are the lowest on record. For 12th graders, the 2024 math and reading scores are lower than the U.S. saw in 2005 and 1992. The lowest reading scores in 30 years. And I mean, frankly, the previous reading score was like 35% in 2019. That's not exactly a banner number either. 1 in 3 reading at grade level in 8th grade. That's a problem. But we'll get to that in more detail a little bit later in the program. It's just sort of the setup for what's happening at the collegiate level, where it's still a lot of identitarian politics and LGBTQIA2S plus propagandizing is a big part of that. A Texas A&M student took on her professor for pushing this gender-bending curriculum that we have talked about for years now at every level. Still going on. Texas A&M. The instructional materials obtained for the children's literature course. The age of focus was age 3 to 12, and it's the gender unicorn. Gender identity, gender expression, sex assigned at birth, physically attracted to, emotionally attracted to, breaking it all down. Well, here's what one student said to her professor during class.
That's kind of a recap of our remarks on gender and sexuality. We bring from last class. One thing we didn't get to in our last class.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching. Because according to our president, there's only 2 genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies funding programs that promote gender ideology. And this also very much goes against not only myself, but a lot of people's religious beliefs. And so I am not going to participate in this because it's not legal, and I don't want to promote something that is against our president's laws as well as against my religious beliefs.
You certainly have the right to engage in things in line with you suggested in class.
Yes.
You are under, in this conception, the Orion Science.
Can you explain to me how teaching us about gender identity and transgenderism and that there's more sexes than...
Gender isn't illegal.
Huh?
My gender isn't illegal.
Gender? What do you mean? Your gender is not illegal. According to President Trump's executive order, if you want me to read the paragraph in the order itself...
Not enough. If you are uncomfortable in this class, you do have the right to leave.
Yes.
What we are doing is not illegal, and if you would like to pretend that it is, you need to talk to the department or the head of undergraduate.
Well, I've already been in contact with the president of A&M, and I actually have a meeting with him in person to show all of my documentation tomorrow, but...
we are also aware, and this is part of why there was an observer in class.
Yes.
I'm not convinced that your proposal will be effective in stopping me from teaching things that are biologically true, because I do have the legal and ethical authority, all of the professional expertise in this classroom.
Okay. Yeah, no, I am.
So this is a children's lit course because you're talking about people that want to go into psychology or sociology and study or counsel kids. The statement from Texas A&M University president when this video is posted, and per this sort of public calling out by this student, I learned this afternoon that key leaders in the College of Arts and Sciences approved plans to continue teaching course content that was not consistent with the course's published description. As a result, I directed the provost to remove the dean and the department head from their administrative positions, effective immediately. Other students used the published information in the course catalog to make important decisions about the courses they take in pursuit of their degrees. If we allow different course content to be taught from what's advertised, we let our students down. When it comes to our academic offerings, we must keep our word to our students and to the state of Texas. Okay. But here was that same university president, Mark Welsh's interaction with the student acting essentially as a whistleblower here.
Tell me what exactly you want changed. I mean, you're trying to pick a fight here. What do you want?
I'm not trying to pick a fight. No, sir, I'm not. I'm trying to...
Tell me what you're looking for. What do you expect us to do? Fire her?
Yes, absolutely, because it goes against...
Okay, well, that's not happening.
Well, right. Who gets fired in academia? Welcome to the wonderful world of tenure, young lady. No, I get that part to some extent. Disciplining. I mean, I guess he went after the department head and the a provost in charge of the liberal arts section of the university. That continued, though, just in terms of his defense of LGBTQIA2S++ studies.
There are LGBTQ studies here. There have been for a long time.
And
we have people who go into professional track courses here. There's not that many. There's 2 courses this year that had, I think, 37 people in them. Of those, I believe the number was 34 or 35 are people who are going to be psychiatrists or clinical counselors, some who want to be school superintendents, people who want to work in nonprofits supporting governments in Texas. Those people don't get to pick who their clients are, what citizens they serve, and they want to understand the issues affecting the people that they're going to treat.
Okay.
So there is a professional reason to teach some of these courses.
Well, yeah, I think he's right, and I think, she was a little less artful than she could have been talking about the president's laws, and the president said this. No, it's not illegal to teach crap. Okay, the point is to say that that's fine. You want to understand these issues, and you want to understand people who are gender dysphoric, or people who identify with one of these sexual identity groups. Well, that's fine. But it's about the quality of the coursework. I mean, the president, I think, was on solid footing when he said the content of the course was different than what was advertised. A little bit of a Trojan horse, which is not unusual in academia. That's the problem. The idea that you would have LGBTQIA offerings of some sort, is within the boundaries of academic freedom. It's just the quality of the content. Where this, based on the gender unicorn, I mean, good grief, this professor is obviously pushing the dreck, the identitarian dreck of the left here, whereas you want to have, I would think, at an institution of higher learning, a little bit of a deeper dig, a little bit more rigorous academic material to pour over and discuss and think about than, these purple unicorns and this simplistic as I said, agitprop. So, I mean, that's the issue. I don't want to get into the business of banning this and banning that, and that's not really consistent with the executive order. Point of this is always more, not less. Oh, you want to offer this up? You want to offer the gender unicorn up? Okay, well, I'm going to offer Abigail Schreier up and her work on these topics, and let's have a big discussion about it in class. That's the format that I think is more productive than trying to sideline the leftist the leftist course materials. You have to confront them. Sidelining them, pushing them out completely in this context, higher education, isn't going to eliminate them. It's just going to drive them underground. They have to be confronted. You want the quality of the scholarship presented side by side in the classroom. So that's where, the student gets it a little wrong, the professor gets it a little wrong, but generally speaking, I think they're going in the right direction to make the coursework more challenging if you're really serious about aiding and abetting those who want a career as a counselor or psychiatrist. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning, Dan. So I've been going against this stuff in my classroom for years. Obviously, I didn't know that Trump would win and we would be bolstered from the executive office about all this stuff. But, I have been saying in class, the place where I teach now full-time, which was not part of my plan, but it kind of fell into my lap, was, I tell them all the time. In fact, I had a class just this Monday when in one of the slides from one of the texts talked about, gender egalitarianism or something like that, something in the text. And I said, look, folks, people have been trying to maul the language for the last 50 years because if you can get people to be thinking that they don't have sex, that they have gender, words have gender, that, keep the giggles to a minimum, but words have gender, like in the German language, der, die, das, and people have sex, male and female. And, of course, there were giggles. I said, but, part of the plan of being able to mold your minds was first to be able to alter the language. So if you can get people to be words to be fluid, then you can get people to be fluid, and then you get this nonsense. I said, remember, another class, they said, you're welcome to dress and wear whatever you want, all right? You want to be a furry and come in, I'm not bringing any carrots for you, okay? Feed you out of an open palm, all right? But I'm not required to live inside your delusion,
right?
All right? Just know that.
Right. Yes. No, and as you're right about the language. What did Emerson observe first? The language is corrupted and then man is corrupted. Rick, Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Hey, you were mentioning about the dismal scores, reading and math scores from 8th to 12th graders, but you're overlooking the one big gigantic positive. Teachers and administrators' salaries and pensions have never been higher. Real estate taxes to cover those haven't been higher. So it's all working as far as the teachers' union is concerned.
Indeed. Thanks for the call, Rick.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Making a switch to a new IT services and support company may seem like a big ordeal, But if you're not getting that reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs every working day, well, then meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts and proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer. These are the guys you want to talk to. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their headquarters in the West Loop. They're local and in tune with Chicago businesses. Whether it's voice over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you and your business. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups, and manufacturers. They'll make the switch for you easier than you think. Call them today to discuss your business needs. Tell them I sent you when you do call them at the number 1-800-804-8333. That number again, 1-800-804-8333. Or visit them online at accessoneinc.com. That's accessone, accessoneinc.com. Access One, tech made personal, locally.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
That big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices. So why don't you?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day. Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
I guess you could say that now is a prime time to buy.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit GoDRA.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:07, we'll pick back up our conversation about crime and punishment, or the lack thereof, with retired Riverside Police Chief Tom Weitzel. Tom Weitzel, 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Did Russia attack Ukraine's next-door neighbor? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Europe stands in full solidarity with Poland.
That's European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen calling what happened reckless and unprecedented.
Overnight, Russia launched another massive attack against Ukraine, but this time sent 19 drones into Poland. The incident triggered a NATO response, with fighter jets scrambling from Western Europe to assist. Polish officials say at least 4 of the drones were shot down as the country briefly closed its airspace and diverted flights from major airports.
Fox's Trey Yingst, Kyiv, Ukraine. Russia's not commenting, but its ally Belarus says the drones were jammed and then flew off course. Declaring D.C. crime-free after his federal takeover of Washington police that ends today. President Trump went out to dinner. Fox's Alexandra Hoffs at the White House.
The message last night, it's so safe, a president can do it. And the president made clear that he is interested in dining out in another city soon.
We're going to be announcing another city that we're going to very shortly. We're working it out. The governor of a certain state would love us to be there.
And though the president's D.C. police takeover order is expiring, National Guard troops will remain on patrol through November. In Virginia, a Democrat won a special election, winning a vacant House seat.
The reckless Trump agenda must come to an end.
James Walkinshaw beat Republican Stuart Whitson and will replace late Congressman Jerry Connolly, who died in May. A Federal Reserve governor President Trump fired last month can still do her job and attend a key Fed meeting next week after a federal judge last night blocked Lisa Cook's dismissal over allegations of mortgage fraud she denies.
Federal law gives presidents the power to fire Fed governors for cause. U.S. District Court Judge Gia Cobb in D.C. says unsubstantiated claims of misconduct prior to her tenure are not enough. The president's been urging the Fed to lower interest rates and would appoint Cook's replacement. She was appointed by President Biden.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 60 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Protesters hit the streets to rally against President Trump's increased federal immigration operations in Chicago. Hundreds gathered downtown last night for a rally at Congress Plaza Garden.
We must organize. We must stay in the streets and keep each other safe.
Demonstrators also marched on Michigan Avenue. Governor Pritzker confirmed that federal agents are in Chicago. He says about 200 are there with access to 100 vehicles. They're expected to be on the ground in the city.
People are, frankly, afraid. In our communities, they're afraid to come out of their homes. They're afraid to go shopping. They're afraid to take their own children to school.
His comments come after the Department of Homeland Security announced the launch of Operation Midway Blitz, which is part of a national effort to curb illegal immigration in sanctuary cities. Pritzker says this is not about fighting crime, though, and has been sharing Know Your Rights pamphlets in multiple languages and encourage people who witness arrests to record and share with media outlets. A Chicago man is suspected of staging a triple stabbing on the city's west side. Douglas Nunez has been charged with attempted murder, possession of a controlled substance, and battery causing bodily harm. Police say the man stabbed 3 men during a fight early Sunday morning in the 2900 block of West Wilcox Street. 2 of the victims were hospitalized in critical condition. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees a disturbed individual.
There's a picture of a magazine from his weapon that says, "Kill Donald Trump" on it. There are anti-Israel message on some of the magazines he used. There are reports that the shooter may have identified as a transgender person. If this person is who they say, there's severe mental illness at play.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 21 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 22 minutes, outbound is about 14 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 40 minutes, outbound is 20 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 35 minutes, outbound is about 21 minutes. And on the Dan Bryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 38 minutes, outbound is about 11 minutes. This traffic update is quickly delivered by Quick Delivery Service. For reliable same-day delivery, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick up your items and move them safely to their destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Moving into Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Pierre Thomas, investigative reporter or whatever, criminal justice correspondent or whatever title he has at ABC 7 News, did a ride-along with ICE yesterday. You know, they're in town for Operation Midway Blitz. And here's what they're doing, according to, the agents in charge of these various federal agencies. For example, Marco Charles is the acting director for ICE enforcement and removal operations here. We're talking anywhere from the most egregious child sex offenders to homicide, burglary, assault, domestic violence. It runs the gamut. It's everybody that's committed crime, but the ones we're going to primarily focus on, the ones we want to get off the streets, are going to be our heinous criminals. ATF special agent in charge here, Jonathan Maniff, told ABC7 that through our crime gun intelligence center with our 15 partner agencies, including ICE, we conducted an investigation in which we identified 30 Tren de Aragua suspected gangbangers that were selling firearms in the Chicagoland area. The main person they were looking for did not find yesterday. Sold undercover agents about 14 guns, and they can trace those guns to shootings, carjackings, and even homicides. So interdicting illegal gun traffickers as well as violent criminals. That's what's called attacking our community, according to politicians from Pritzker and Brandon Johnson to suburban socialists like Daniel Biss in Evanston, as we discussed a bit earlier. This is Pierre Thomas's reporting.
It's a so-called worst of the worst. So the first phase of Operation Midway Blitz appears to be focusing on what they call criminals who are undocumented, who are living in the country, who have committed crimes here. The focus today was on a Venezuelan gang that they believe has been selling illegal guns on the streets of Chicago. And they emphasized that the main person they were looking for today had sold them about 14 guns, and they believe that they've been able to tie those guns that were sold undercover to ATF and other agencies to shootings, carjackings, and even homicides in your city.
So this is controversial? In what sane world is this controversial? Well, we don't live in a sane place in Chicago. We live in a place with politicians like Pritzker meeting with activists like Reina Salam of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network out on the streets yesterday from Congress to Michigan Avenue and back, offering commentary like this.
We are going to keep fighting against the escalated ICE raids and attacks against our communities. Trump says that there's going to be war in Chicago, but I believe in the people power, and the resistance here is strong.
The resistance to operations to remove Tren de Aragua gun traffickers and assorted other violent criminals. Okay. For more on this, pleased to be joined by retired Riverside Police Chief Tom Weitzel. Tom, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
So the resistance is strong among those who believe in people power in Chicago.
Yeah, and most of what you just said, you attributed to the governor's office and other activists is complete lies and falsehoods. I have colleagues and friends who are still active in not only CPD and suburban police agencies, but are on these task forces. And Dan, how it's actually working is early in the morning, the task force, 4 or 5 a.m., they get their packets. They meet for an operational roll call. They get their packets on the specific people they're looking for, which are all violent, felony, convicted felons in the country illegal. And if they happen to go out and conduct these operations and they run across other individuals that are here illegal, they will arrest them. But their targets are given to them in the morning. They go out on teams and they search for the violent criminal offenders. So the narrative you're hearing from the governor's office and others is absolutely, I don't use the term often, but this is an absolute outright lie. There's no truth in it.
Mm-hmm. But the community is afraid. We know this because the self-appointed spokeshumans for the community, all these politicians and professional agitators, keep telling us the community is afraid. Well, of course, the follow-up is never, so what are you afraid of? What is there to be afraid of? Here's what ICE is doing, and you know it. Here's what these other federal agencies are doing. Here's what Chicago police are doing. Are you afraid of the police too? Well, I mean, if you're committing crimes, we want you to be afraid, don't you? Don't we? I mean, so it's just that there's no sense to this, and it feels like we're sawing sawdust because it's just so straightforward.
Yeah, well, it's they're whipping. It's like they're creating this. In fact, I said the other day that the Chicago Sun-Times Sunday paper might as well have been a handout on how to obstruct the police, how to obstruct ICE, how to notify the media where you're at, send photographers, do videos. In fact, the governor put a video out that said that everybody should be taping these raids and then sending them to the media, not anybody else. You should be sending them to the media. So a lot of the news media is whipping this up themselves by making it seem like these are operations that are targeting just your average individual that they're going to scoop off the street. And in fact, the Sun-Times ran an article about taking kids out of school. I don't know if you saw that the other day, but how parents of Chicago public schools should be warned about ICE coming to your school, which is ludicrous.
The no cash bail, Caroline Leavitt took out after that no cash bail. I mean, Trump signed an executive order targeting D.C. first, but talking about other no cash bail jurisdictions like, say, New York and Illinois. This sort of is in the context of the stabbing murder on that Charlotte train station of that Ukrainian refugee. The impact on no cash bail, I mean, just again, refreshing people's recollection here, because this is still being hailed, speaking of things that are just fabrications. No cash bail here is being hailed as it's made Illinois both safer and more equitable. And Tom, all you have to do is look at the crime rate. It's at a 30-year low.
Yeah, the crime stats can always be manipulated. Believe me, I know that, being in law enforcement 37 years to begin with. And I just read that the Illinois Department of Correction isn't even keeping stats on recidivism since 2022. There's no accurate information. But everybody knows the cashless bail that the president's talking about is basically Illinois' Safety Act.
Right.
And it's been a disaster. And anybody that thinks otherwise, you mentioned the stabbing on the public transportation in Charlotte. That individual had 14 prior arrests, and you might as well have been Illinois. He had 14 prior arrests, a documented schizophrenic diagnosis, and when he was put in prison in 2015, he got early release.
He got early release, but then most recently, when he was arrested in January, he got a walk. He basically was ROR'd on a promise to show up to court. But I mean, if I asked this earlier, if you've got a diagnosed if you're diagnosed as schizophrenic, then how do you have the requisite mental acuity to sign that promise to show up for court? I mean, you don't have the mental capacity to do so ostensibly.
No, for sure. And I heard the mayor make a statement that she has to rethink what safety is. And then on top of that, on this radio broadcast I heard right after that, they interviewed a local ACLU representative, and he actually said that Americans should slow down and think about what happened on the train because we don't know all the facts. Right. And I've seen the whole video, and it's brutal. And I thought to myself, who could defend that? Yet they brought this ACLU representative on, and he defended it.
So, speaking of this, if this is indeed a legit case of diagnosed schizophrenic, something Trump has said too, sort of off the cuff, this hasn't been fully formed into how this would be done and whether really it's even the purview of the federal government. But he talked about reopening asylums. What's your take on that in terms of if you have people that have mental illnesses and are inclined to be violent, perhaps as in part caused by whatever mental affliction they have, then they need to be removed from society and under professional care, don't they?
Without a doubt. I mean, we need to have some type of locked facility where they're not out roaming the streets, and you've probably seen them yourself in Chicago, people that downtown in the Loop area. I've been there, and I've seen it. But you need, under medical care, that's correct. They need to have treatment or medical supervision, but they also need to be held in a secure facility and not have some doctor just say, well, you've been here a year, okay, and I think you're okay and you can be released. That isn't working. It's not working. We certainly don't have the beds for that right now, so there would have to be some type of funding that we could put towards individuals. that you spoke of earlier have a diagnosis. Now, I don't want people to understand that we're just kidnapping people off the street. These are individuals that commit these crimes, have documented medical issues, psychological issues that have diagnosis, and they're harming individuals over and over again. They keep reoffending. We do need to secure these people in some type of medical facility.
Well, I mean, they pull them off the streets when it's time to spruce up the city for the Democrat National Convention. So why can't we, or for a NATO conference, why can't we do it when, just as a matter of course, to keep Chicagoans safe and any other community, because it's not just a Chicago problem.
Yeah, they don't do that because it's not politically expedient. It doesn't serve their purpose. And I had my friends that worked at DNC, and they said it was the safest ever. The city was the best it had been in the officers I know in 10 years, and they had put every resource they had towards that. So they don't do that on a regular basis.
Right. Oh, so that's interesting. So what you're saying is when you surge resources, you can improve public safety. What a concept.
Yeah, no doubt. They said every single agency, every single officer was working, vacations canceled. And they said, with the assistance of the federal government, it literally was the safest they had ever seen the city.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to surge resources to make sure the politicians and the party flacks are safe. But, in terms of your ordinary rabble, your taxpayers on a daily basis, we have more pressing needs than to worry about their pedestrian public safety issues.
No, and you know what's going to it probably already is backfiring. Do out-of-towners want to visit the city anymore? Do suburbanites want to come down? Are they still attracting the conventions? I just read a story that the storefronts in the downtown Loop area is down almost 50% from occupancy. That has to, some measure of that, Dan, is due to crime and the perception of crime in the city.
Well, they've got a response for that. They've just launched the For the Love of Chicago marketing campaign where you post videos about why you love Chicago onto their Instagram page, and that's going to turn it all around. It's basically just a marketing problem, we're told.
I tell people, why would you spend your hard-earned money and go to the city of Chicago for entertainment, dinner, movie, plays, when they don't care about your safety? I mean, think about that. I mean, when you're done there, go to a hotel for the weekend, and you have to walk back to your parking garage, or you have to leave a play that you might be seeing in the city. You're harassed the entire way back to your parking garage. You have people following you. You have, these are individuals with violent criminal histories, and they're not just begging you for money. These are people that have serious psychological problems and stuff. I'm asking, do people really want to go to the city anymore until the mayor and his team take crime seriously? I wouldn't spend my hard-earned money down there.
Tom Weitzel, retired chief of police for the village of Riverside. Tom, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a great morning, Dan.
You too. And you join us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
FestGen Wealth Partners knows you're feeling the pinch of rising cost of living, and you are not alone. Potentially maximize your savings and get the guidance you need through times of uncertainty with a team at FestGen Wealth Partners. Get started at GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through FestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and FestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. FestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Larry Elder here. More than 200 members of Congress are standing up for AM radio listeners. The AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act will keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Just wanting to update Mondays why Dan Proft is single, and it's centered around this Harpy Philadelphia Phillies fan who took the ball from the kid after she missed it, and she was with some dude, but he obviously is, completely, has been completely neutered. Anyway, she has not been identified. There's been some misreporting about her names and that she was a teacher who was fired. None of that has checked out so far. We don't really have a name on that Philadelphia Phillies Karen, but Drew Feltwell has been identified. He's the dad that got the home run ball in the scrum, put it in his 10-year-old son Lincoln's glove, and then was accosted by this harridan. Well, he spoke the other day and provided some color on what occurred.
I didn't even see her walk up. And as she reached for my arm, she just yelled in my ear, "That's my ball!" Like super loud. I jumped out of my skin.
Like she was from hell.
And I was like, why are you here? Go away. And then she's like, "That's my ball. You stole it out of those are from our seats." And I said, "There was nobody in that seat." She said, "That's from where we were sitting." And she just went on and on. I don't even remember what she said. It was, a lot of eyes on us by that time. And the ball was already in his glove. And she just wouldn't stop. And I'm literally leaning back as she's in my face yelling and yelling and yelling. And I pretty much just wanted her to go away. And because I had a fork in the road, either, do something I was probably going to regret, or be dad and show him how to de-escalate a situation. So that's where I went.
Good choice. He also told USA Today, please don't do anything to that lady. Leave it alone. Somebody knows her and can talk to her. That's different. But God, I don't want people breaking in their house and stuff like that. Well, no, of course not. The internet already messed her up pretty good. Well, it doesn't mess her up good enough until she's been identified. But I take your point. The identification and the public humiliation should be sufficient so long as that is accomplished as a message to similarly situated gorgons like this broad. Best though was not Drew's. He's a good example for his son. And by the way, he did that interview you just heard with his son, with him, 10-year-old Lincoln. But the best was Lincoln. Definitely a learning moment for Lincoln.
I wasn't very happy that we had to give it to her, but we can't win. She was gonna get it anyways.
Yeah, that's right, Lincoln. You can't win these things. Get ready for a lifetime of it. And that's why Dan Proft is single. Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk about a million jobs created under Biden that were not. We'll start there with Steve Moore, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 60 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is touting the safety of Washington, D.C.
In a surprise, he hit the streets of D.C. Tuesday night and took some members of his cabinet out to dinner at a local restaurant.
And the outcome is really spectacular. We have a capital that's very, very safe right now.
Trump said it's a safe city and thanked the National Guard for helping police fight crime. His restaurant trip comes as the president considers deploying the Guard to other cities to address crime. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Supreme Court will hear arguments on whether tariffs implemented by President Trump are legal.
The focus will be on Trump using a law meant for times of emergency to impose the duties without the help of Congress. The High Court agreed to take two different cases that cover most of the tariffs, including one filed by the Trump administration in response to an appeals court ruling late last month that said he had went above his authority. The tariffs will stay in place until the court makes a decision. I'm Brian Shook.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher explains Trump's biggest strength.
Now, the National Guard is being deployed to places like Washington, D.C., ultimately Chicago, maybe New York, L.A., to make cities safer. If you're crazy, you're opposed to that. Trump's superpower is getting his political enemies to be crazy, to act crazy. They're absolutely crazed.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
Chicago businesses, you can't afford to be down. You don't have time to wait for IT support. You need one company that does IT well and does it right. Meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Chicago owned, Chicago run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore. Access One is the trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. Access One is your one vendor for everything tech. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
From the Team Hoffberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes. Outbound, 17 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 32 minutes. Outbound, 21 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 49 minutes. Outbound is about 27 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 43 minutes. Outbound is about 20 minutes. This report is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. Homeowners, have you been waiting to renovate or pay down debt? Mortgage rates have been dropping, so it may be time to tap into your home's equity. Get started at rocketmortgage.com. Call 800-863-4332 for cost information and conditions. Rocket Mortgage LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access Org number 3030. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies and a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. By Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Zoran Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York. He's lapping the field. This has been over for a while, and it continues to be. Andy Cuomo is just not going to be enough. And, boy, get ready for a reimagined New York with Mamdani. This was a fun little snippet. Him with Senator Krakajawea sitting Indian style. Of course, how else would they? Interviewing a little kid on what this little kid would do if he was mayor of New York, and see if you can distinguish it from what Zoran Mamdani is running to do.
If you were the leader of New York City for a day, what would you change?
I would change that people not getting to have what they want, and if they don't have much money, I would change that into that they could, because they need that money to buy it.
Exactly. Boy, I mean, perfectly crystallize Zoran Mamdani's platform and the platform of the new Marxist Party generally. Wonderful. Criticizing capitalism, I must hasten to add, though, doesn't make you a critic of America, as Mamdani explained.
The United States, you have benefited from this country. This is what your critics say. But you don't support the system, the economic system that perhaps you benefited from. Is that right?
I love this country, and I'm also a New Yorker who has loved this city. And one of the things that I love most about the city are its parks. And its parks, and the Parks Department was founded by a socialist mayor of New York City, Fiorello LaGuardia. These are all parts of the same story. And the idea to simplify it as if a critique of capitalism is to be un-American, it speaks to a lack of understanding of the breadth of our history.
Socialism built New York City's parks, and it can build New York City's grocery stores, I guess. And that's before you even get into, his support for, his promotion of abolishing the police, abolishing prisons, and so on and so forth. Escape from New York. Somebody call Kurt Russell. For more on this, please be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity 2.0. Steve Moore, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dan, good to be with you. Incidentally, before there was free enterprise and things like the Empire State Building, Manhattan wasn't just a big giant park.
Yes.
So,
and it can be again.
Exactly. I mean, so many people are going to leave out of New York. They won't. I guarantee you, the Empire State Building was not built by the government. So this is a very dangerous view. It is really troubling to me that it is so widely held by young people. You saw I'm going to connect the dots between that idiot statement by that woman that you just played and the test scores. If you saw that our test scores in America in our schools are lower than they've ever been. Math scores are lower than ever. Yeah. We would think things would be improving. So this is a function of our school system not teaching kids even the most basic things about how the way the world works. And, look, I think I said this a couple weeks ago on your show, but I'll repeat it, that if Mamdani wins, then Wall Street will no longer be in Manhattan. Wall Street will be in Miami, or Wall Street will be in Dallas, or it will be in Tampa, or will move out. And it's already moved out. I don't know if you've been to Wall Street lately, but it is nothing like what it was 25 or 30 or 40 years ago. So, New Yorkers, if you vote for Mamdani, you are voting for a nail in the coffin of America's greatest city, although I love Chicago.
Yeah, well, it's the same deal with the trading floors in Chicago. They're teetering too with the way the city is going. I wanted to get to this other news. This we talked to your colleague Phil Kerpen a little bit about this earlier in the week, but now we get the data that slight revision to the number of jobs created basically in the last year of the Biden administration. 1 million of those jobs, about 911,000, that were reportedly created between March of 24 and March of 25. 911,000 jobs overestimated. The revision down of 900,000 jobs. Yes.
A couple things here, Dan. One is that if you look at now over the last 2.5 years, about the last 30 months, we just came out with an analysis showing that they overestimated the number of jobs by closer to 2.5 to 3 million. And if you're making errors in estimates, and look, when you make estimates and predictions, you're always going to have some errors. But you would expect those errors to be random. In other words, sometimes you're too high, sometimes you're too low. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that on average, then the error should be zero. Instead, all of the errors under Biden were in one direction. And those errors were, oops, we overestimated the number of jobs in the economy by 2.5 million. Now, people can make their own assessment of whether they think that was politically motivated or not. No. The fact that this wasn't, exactly. They would never try to skew the numbers in their favor. So this is but there's another problem here. If you look at the latest report that came out on Friday, there's two surveys. I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but they do a survey of businesses. How many people are you hiring? And then they do a survey of households. Are you working? How many people in your household are working? That's how we come up with these numbers. Well, one of the surveys showed that only, 25,000 jobs were somewhere in the 20,000 range were created, which is a crappy number, right? That's a very disappointing number. But the other survey, the survey of households, showed there were 290,000 more people working. Huh? I mean, how do you square those two? So in other words, it's like the scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. Remember, so which way should I go? And he points in both directions. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are dealing with numbers that are completely unreliable. And that's why Trump fired the head of the BLS. And that's why we need to get somebody like E.J. Antoni over there. And I think E.J. will be confirmed, and I think he will clean this mess up. All we want is accuracy. We want reliability, and we're not getting those at all from the Bureau. 2.5 million. How can you be that wrong?
No, it's a problem. I mean, not because, as we talked about with Kerpen, as you know, it's just there's movement of billions, if not trillions of dollars based on this monthly number. So it shouldn't be relied on, but at the same point, it matters. So.
Well, by the way, Dan, if I may add to this, that the government would never skew these numbers. Oh yeah, look at the census. Illinois probably had 1 or 2 extra congressional seats because the numbers were so unreliable, and maybe I don't know, they can't count in Illinois or something like that. But Florida and Texas probably lost 2 or 3 congressional seats, and Illinois got an extra seat. New York probably got 2 extra seats. California got two extra seats. That is a huge impact.
Well,
we're trying.
Yeah, Illinois lost a seat, and it should have lost 2.
But they should have lost 2, exactly.
Right,
So, and people lied on how many people live in that house. Oh, 8 people live over there. So my point is that so many of the numbers that government is generating now are inaccurate and skewed, and that's a big problem. We can't count anymore in Washington.
What about these numbers? Because these stand to reason. Teen unemployment by state, the blue states with the highest state minimum wage have shockingly the highest average unemployment among those aged 16 to 19. Yep. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, too. It stands to reason, but should we believe those numbers?
Look, there's no question that if you look at the states with really high minimum wages, and I don't recall what the minimum wage is in Illinois, but I believe it's 15. So the national minimum wage is like $7.50. So you're like double so what happens is when you raise the minimum wage, the people who are most victimized by that are the people who are teenagers. So, I, as your listeners know, I grew up in the Chicago area. One of my first jobs was working as an Andy Frayne usher. I don't even know if they have Andy Frayne ushers anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I
used to go back.
Games. I went to White Sox games. I used to park cars, for weddings and things like that. And my point is that, I think back then we were getting $2.20 an hour or something like that. But what happens when you raise the minimum wage, then all of a sudden, the teenagers just aren't working because they can't produce $15 an hour of output. So you can't pay somebody more than they're producing for you. And so the high unemployment rate for teens in these states is a direct result of the minimum wage. And I've said this on your show a lot, but I want to repeat it. One of the most important jobs you ever have in your life is your first job. Do you remember your first job, Dan?
Yeah, caddying. Chicago Golf Club.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 2 bags for 1.
I did 2 relative. I started when I was 11. I was like I was 5'2" and like 105 pounds. Right? But yeah, exactly. So, but I got to 2 pretty quickly.
Yeah. So the point is, you learn a lot from your first job: how to show up, how to be nice to people, how to earn a tip by providing good service and things like that. And so we're not the worst possible thing to be doing is pricing young people out of the workforce. The studies are so concrete and clear, Dan, that the earlier you start working in your life, so parents pay attention. If you got a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old at home, get them working.
Yep.
When people start working at a young age, they are more successful in their life. The evidence is incontrovertible on that.
All right. Speaking of playing well with others, the story about Scott Bessent and Bill Pulte. Did you have to break up this almost fight? Did you see this story? Bessent and
I did see the story.
Bessent and Pulte. But Bessent essentially said to Pulte, according to Politico, I'm going to punch you in your effing face because apparently he accused Pulte of talking bad about him to Trump, and he wanted to take it. Outside this club in D.C. And then they're not getting along. What's going on there?
Yes. Sounds like a little Game of Thrones there, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know the backstory of that one. I did see the story, and I do know Scott Bessent. And look, Scott is one of the most important advisors to Trump, and he's been one of the soundest advisors for Trump. And so, we want to make sure.
Is Scott Bessent going to have a red wedding within the administration? You better watch your back more.
But look, there is a lot of infighting going on because the way the White House works is if you want to have policy established, if you want to make a policy, you get in the Oval Office. I mean, all the policy is out of the Oval Office. So, when I was over there 2 or 3 weeks ago, all of the cabinet secretaries are just hanging around out there outside the Oval, hoping that Trump will call them in, because that's how you get your policies. So I think there is a bit of Game of Thrones over there.
Oh, God, that's pretty
funny. You got to go see the big guy if you want to make the big decisions.
Hey, all these cabinet secretaries are just loitering around. I can see Trump being annoyed by that. Go do something. Get to work. Stop waiting for me to call you in.
Exactly. Aren't you supposed to be over at the Interior?
That's awesome. All right. So what we're hearing and seeing a lot of hand wringing and finger wagging about this raid and the Hyundai plant in Georgia. And political. The South Koreans are very upset about this, and so on and so forth. Well, but excuse me, what the hell were you doing? You don't just get to drop your workforce into a foreign country. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't like raids on plants and agriculture fields and so on. Trump has reduced the flow of illegal immigration by, as you all know, by 93%. It's been a miracle and an incredible accomplishment, and Tom Homan has done a great job. We want to get rid of the criminals. We want to get rid of the drug runners. Yes. We want to get rid of the potential terrorists and the gang members, and we've done a great job of that. Do I want to start deporting people who are in the country working? I'm not so sure about that. Now, I know that's a controversial thing to say, but what I'm in favor of is what I call pay to stay. Pay to stay. So if you are in the country illegally, but you've been working and you're not on welfare and you haven't committed any crimes, you're just working on a job, and you have an employer who can verify and validate your that you're a good person, then you should be able to pay a fine. You don't get any path to citizenship. So, coming in illegally doesn't help make you a citizen, but you get to work. Now, I know some people, that's a terrible idea, but I think we need immigrant workers. I mean, we really do. There's a shortage of workers in this country. There simply is. We have 10,000 people retiring every day. I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1960. I just turned 65. There's 10,000 of us every day that are retiring.
Now I got to pay your Medicare too? Good. Jeez.
Yeah, my Medicare, my Social Security, all that stuff. But my point is there aren't 10,000 young people because of the demographic situation. There aren't 10,000 young people entering the workforce. So either we're going to have a big contraction of the labor force or we're going to need more foreign-born workers. It's that simple.
Well, no, I hear you. I mean, it should be done under color of law, and you're essentially providing a path to do that.
Agree.
But South Korea is really in no place to be, bitching about this because that wasn't part of the deal, man.
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
So
no, that's true, and that in that situation, probably a raid was justified. But all I'm saying is that if somebody's working in the country, you know what I want to raid? I want to raid the welfare offices.
Yeah. Okay. And,
and say, hey, you're signing up for food stamps. You're not even a citizen. Get the hell out of here.
Well, yes.
You're in public housing. Get out.
Yes. And that's supposed to be happening. The HUD is supposed to be auditing public housing projects to make sure there's not illegal aliens.
And they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I mean, if somebody wants to come here and, become productive, that's one thing. For another, it's another one for people. Come and go in the United States. You get free food and free rental and free this and free that. Come to New York City.
Hey, can you see if you can find Russ Vought around town somewhere and have him update the country on what's going on with Doge? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it is, and they are making savings, and it's been a productive thing, no question about it. And we've saved tens, hundreds of billions of dollars so far with those recommendations. We eliminated USAID. I was on Bill Maher this weekend. I don't know if you saw it, and the liberal, I was on. Oh my God, Trump's killed millions of people because he defunded the USAID.
Were you on with Bill Gates?
Yeah, exactly. No, it was some professor, but the idea that USAID was the most corrupt organization ever, and they didn't help people move out of poverty. What USAID did, they were a green climate change group. Don't build a coal plant here. Don't use natural gas. Why don't you build solar fields here in the middle of Africa?
Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Stephen, thank you for joining us.
Okay, Dan, have a great week. Take
care. You too. And you join us in the Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. And right now, AM 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty with their Generac. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there's lots of places that also have it. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every single second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock specialist is going to help solve the identity theft issues, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code Beck at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we're going to talk to Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner and Wall Street Journal contributor. About free speech in the UK, about the Israeli strikes against Hamas and Qatar. Lots of stuff to discuss with Dominic Green at 8:08, and we'll do it. It is now 8 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A price decrease. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. We just got that inflation update this morning.
Prices that wholesalers pay to get their goods for August unexpectedly fell negative 0.1%.
Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti says the annual rate of producer price inflation also dropped.
2.6%, major drop from 3.3%, which was the expectation, and also the same number as July.
Now, tomorrow we'll get the even more closely watched consumer price inflation update ahead of next week's Fed meeting to consider an interest rate cut. President Trump has been demanding that from the Federal Reserve for months. Fed Governor Lisa Cook will be able to attend that meeting after a federal judge blocked President Trump's firing, ruling he could not dismiss Cook over an alleged mortgage fraud she denies because those allegations predate her time as a Fed governor. The president went out to dinner last night in Washington, declaring it crime-free after his crackdown.
The restaurants now are booming. People are going out to dinner where they didn't go out for years, and it's a safe city, and I just want to thank the National Guard. We loved working with the mayor and the chief.
Now, the president's 30-day federal takeover of D.C. police expires tonight, but federal agents can remain on patrol, and so will National Guard troops. Their deployment's already been extended through November. And the president says as soon as today, he'll announce a crime crackdown in another city. Russia denies targeting Poland in the Ukraine war, but the NATO ally says 19 Russian drones flew into the country. One reportedly hit a house in a village. Others were shot down.
The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk released a statement following the incident saying, quote, "My thanks and congratulations to the Polish Operational Command and our NATO pilots for shooting down Russian drones over Poland. Actions speak louder than words." Tusk has now invoked Article 4 of NATO, meaning that consultations will take place with NATO members about a security assessment.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Kyiv, Ukraine. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 63 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Governor Pritzker's confirmed that federal immigration agents are in Chicago. Pritzker says about 200 ICE agents with access to 100 vehicles are expected to be on the ground in the city.
People are, frankly, afraid. In our communities, they're afraid to come out of their homes. They're afraid to go shopping. They're afraid to take their own children to school.
Pritzker's comments come after the Department of Homeland Security announced it was launching an immigration crackdown this week in Chicago and across the state. Due to all this, protesters were hitting the street to rally against President Trump's increased federal immigration operations. Hundreds gathered in downtown last night for a rally at Congress Plaza Garden.
We must organize. We must stay in the streets and keep each other safe.
Demonstrators also marched on Michigan Avenue. The protest was coordinated by the Coalition Against the Trump Agenda and the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Darren Bailey is seeking a rematch with Governor Pritzker. The former Republican state senator is reportedly planning to run for governor of Illinois again next year. Cook County Republican Party Chairman Aaron Delmar says he agreed to be his running mate. A former campaign announcement is expected later this month. Bailey lost to Pritzker in the governor's race in 2022. News is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. I check the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to a fresh reading on inflation, the producer price index for August, inflation at the wholesale level. Oracle shares are jumping up more than 30% after an upbeat quarter and a forecast of huge demand for its cloud computing. It signed 4 multi-billion-dollar contracts in the recent quarter. The Wall Street Journal says it's confirmation that Oracle's services are indispensable for artificial intelligence. Discount fashion chain Zara's parent company Inditex is reporting strong sales for August and early September, a sign that demand could be picking up for fall clothing. And Robinhood, the discount broker that was a favorite of meme stock traders, says it will be adding a social network to its mobile app. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Hugh Hewitt isn't sure the Democrats can come back to the center.
The Democrats are dancing on the cliff of the left that they may fall off of. Can they possibly recover? Can they get back to anything approaching the 40-yard line? Their own 40. I don't know. A few people said they already are falling. They're in free fall.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 21 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Vernon Interchange, 36 minutes. Outbound is about 22 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 65 minutes. Outbound, 32 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 52 minutes. Outbound is about 26 minutes. Traffic is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Moving into Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So yesterday, the Israelis made surgical strikes in Qatar to targeting a couple of Hamas leaders. The Israeli Defense Forces issued the following statement. The IDF and Shin Bet, or the Israeli Security Agency, that is, IDF and ISA, conducted a precise strike targeting the senior leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization. For years, these members of the Hamas leadership have led the terrorist organization's operations, are directly responsible for the brutal October 7th massacre, and have been orchestrating and managing the war against the state of Israel. Prior to the strike, measures were taken in order to mitigate harm to civilians, including the use of precise munitions and additional intelligence. The IDF and ISA will continue to operate with determination in order to defeat the Hamas terrorist organization responsible for the October 7th massacre. Well, that was not sufficient for such international moral voices like Antonio Guterres at the UN. Qatar has been playing a very positive role to achieve a ceasefire and release all of the hostages. I condemn this flagrant violation of the sovereignty and international integrity of Qatar. All parties must work together towards achieving a permanent ceasefire. Well, I mean, to borrow from Marco Rubio earlier in the week, who cares what the UN says? And number one, and number two, Qatar has been playing a very positive role to achieve a ceasefire and release all the hostages. That's not true. Not true. Nonetheless, there was some pushback from the Trump administration. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt saying the following.
This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
I don't know if I'd go making such assurances, and I don't know about the sort of moral equivocation there, frankly, especially since earlier in the week, the president posted on Truth Social, everyone wants the hostages home. Everyone wants this war to end. The Israelis have accepted my terms. It's time for Hamas to accept as well. I've warned Hamas about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Of course, the usual close. But I don't think that Hamas leadership in Qatar is paying attention to this matter. So I'm not really on board for the administration's posture with respect to these targeted strikes at Hamas leaders that are being provided sanctuary in Qatar. That's my view. Let's get another view. Dominic Green is a columnist for the Washington Examiner. He's also a contributor to the Wall Street Journal and a fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan.
So I know the UK's PM, two-tier Keir, and his buddy Macron are threatening, to the extent that their threats are meaningful, threatening Israel with a recognition of some Palestinian statehood somewhere if Israel doesn't come to terms and end the hostilities or change the way they're fighting the war in a way that's compliant with the demands of the UK and the French. But what is your view on what Israel did here and the larger dynamic right now in Gaza?
Well, my first view is that it's a good thing that Israel has demonstrated yet again that the worst kind of terrorists should have nowhere to hide. There was a time when everybody understood that, and the position taken by Britain and France, not for the first time, is a disgrace. The second question is, the strike's done. What is the goal after that? And in the rather pained attempt of Catherine Levitt there to try and square the circle, you can see that, the Trump administration wants to create some kind of diplomatic exit, doesn't want the war to go on forever. It wants it to be ended on terms that are favorable to Israel, not to Hamas. That's a big difference, of course, from how the Biden administration viewed this. But the Trump administration is looking at its entire regional picture and how beating Hamas benefits all kinds of American clients in the region, including its allies in the Gulf, and how obviously leaving Hamas in place is a win for Iran and for the supporters of terrorism, who in this case include Turkey and Qatar. And Turkey and Qatar are both allies of the United States. Qatar is a non-NATO ally, designated by Joe Biden as such. So there's a lot of pieces in the jigsaw, and when you hear this thing, it almost sounds like double talk or gobbledygook. It doesn't add up. It's a good thing to hit the terrorists, but not a good thing to do it, is effectively the message of the day after. That's a way, I think, of trying to create a political step out of this, and we shouldn't take the wording too seriously. It's trying to create a political exit that's the actual goal here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I understand, but the problem is it's a little further complicated by the distressingly cozy relationship that Trump has forged with Qataris, for example. Accepting in theory a plane from them, and then you make a statement like this. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It has the appearance of I wouldn't say impropriety, but it has the appearance of a conflict.
Oh, totally. I mean, once you accept a gift of that kind of scale, and once your son, as Don Jr. is doing, is getting a deal for developing golf courses.
Dominic, I'm having a little bit of a difficult time hearing you.
Sorry, is this any better?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Great. Once the president accepts a gift on that scale, and once his son has got a deal to develop a golf course in Qatar, then obviously it starts to look blurred. And the two blurrings, as it were, the blurring of where the line between public and private is, and the blurring of the line between the national interest and the private interest, these things are very hard to extrapolate. And I don't doubt that Qatar's enormous influence in the United States has helped it maintain this implausible balancing act where it's simultaneously hosting Hamas, it's hosting this media instrument, Al Jazeera, which is like a global Islamist propaganda platform. It's pouring, I believe, an estimated $7 billion into the universities of the United States. It's doing all these things, and yet somehow acting as if it's a neutral figure in all of this. It's not. It's an Islamist propagandist state that has thrown billions around all over the world in order to buy what it believed was an immunity for the consequences of its actions.
Yeah. I want to get to your reaction to something else that bubbled up to the surface this week in the same topic area. And this was Tucker Carlson on his interview show on X, interviewed a former State Department official who had recently been separated from his job. And part of the argument was that he had penned a cable from the State Department that expressed condolences to the families of alleged journalists who were killed in Gaza. And I say alleged because there's some questions about just exactly whether they were journalists or something different. And Tucker Carlson sort of picked up on this thread and said this.
Let me just say, I would be totally comfortable sharing condolences with Osama bin Laden's family. I hate Osama bin Laden. On the other hand, if somebody dies, it's okay to say, I'm sorry to his family that
he had a toddler.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's immaterial. I would say that to the family of an executed murderer in a prison. It doesn't mean I support the murder or the murderer, but this is family. Like, that's okay. That's called like human decency. And anyone who's against that.
Yeah. And it seemed that we're setting up.
Is that right? Anybody who wouldn't express condolences to the family of bin Laden is against human decency?
No, of course not. Just about everything Tucker Carlson says these days is nonsense. I haven't noticed him extending any condolences or human decency to the families of the Israelis who were massacred on October the 7th. He strikes me as someone, I'm reminded of Dr. Johnson's line, man makes a beast of himself to forget the pain of living. I think he's very justifiably, in some cases, distressed by how the United States has not turned out to be the country he wanted it to be or thought it was. But his reaction to that is a sort of nihilistic thing of, well, if I can't have it, no one else can. It's a real problem, actually, on the right, that there are these people who are really trying their best to pull things down rather than build things up. But no, I don't think that that's true at all. I have nothing to say to any member of the bin Laden family, and I don't think most people do either.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could muster would be like Churchill's condolences on the passing of Stanley Baldwin, which is to say, I'm sorry he died, but it would have been better had he never lived.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
So I want to get to something else, too. Nigel Farage was in town this week to testify before House Committee on Free Speech, something that seems to be going out of style in the UK. This was, and I know you wrote about this Irish comedian that was arrested for tweets. Farage had this to say about that.
Graham Linehan, the comedy writer, comedic writer, and he put out some tweets months ago when he was in Arizona. And months later, he arrives at Heathrow Airport to be met by 5 armed police. He was arrested and taken away for questioning. This could happen to any American man or woman that goes to Heathrow that has said things online that the British government and British police don't like.
It's going to put a bit of a damp on American tourism to the UK, I think.
Just a little. And by the way, everything that Farage says in that clip is absolutely true. And it is unconscionable that foreign citizens could be arrested for something that they've said overseas using an American-owned and American-made app like X on the civilian internet, which is an American invention. It's part of a global picture, which is as the great powers reassert themselves and the world becomes one of spheres of influence, the internet also broken down into different spheres. You know, there's a different internet in China from the one in the US. And there's also a different internet in Europe, which does not have a great tradition of free speech at all. It's not true. The idea of free speech comes from England, and it's an Anglophone civilization that really prizes it. And the British government doesn't trust its own people and is really more sympathetic to a repressive European-style internet than the open and free American one. And so they've created mechanisms which allows people to go after you for things like, as you know, Graham Linehan's speech was, if I could repeat it, he said that if a man goes into a woman's changing room, you should call for help or call the police or, in the last resort, and I quote, kick him in the balls.
Right.
Now, that's a little spicy, but no one should be arrested for that. And I'd just like to add, I wholeheartedly endorse that, and I think the vast majority of British people do as well. And yet the police are able to be mobilized by a small number of resentful, demented activists and mobilized against people doing what, you know, if Graham Linehan goes to court, there's no question he would get off in Britain, unquestionably. They laugh it out of court. And I hope that he sues the police for wrongful arrest as well. It's absolutely crazy, but we are where we are. And the United States, I mean, I was in Washington last week and I actually ran into Nigel Farage at one point, and I spoke with people in the administration, and they all said the same thing, that the British government, Keir Starmer's government, looks at the United States and wants to talk about trade terms and financial stuff. But the Trump administration is trying to build its alliances for the long run, and it wants Britain to be part of its internet and its alliances. And so the British government is heading and is creating actually just a serious conflict out of nothing by doing things like this. And it's going to end up by damaging the British economy. So maybe they will listen at that point.
Trump also had, in one of his meetings with Starmer over here, had said, I think it was here, that, had sort of said, you really need to think about enforcing immigration laws. and Starmer basically said, he had made this announcement that seemed to be at odds with where labor is generally, that, we're going to have to start moving people out of this country that are here illegally and so on and so forth. But there's some question about, what his real commitment beyond a rhetorical one was to doing anything like that. Yeah. And so what is the state of that?
Well, the state of that is this, that Starmer is a human rights lawyer who knows perfectly well that when he says we would like to do this or we intend to do this, it means nothing unless the law allows it. He is not serious about changing the law. He's just appointed as Home Secretary who would be responsible for this stuff. Shabana Mahmood, who is also of a similar activist frame of mind and has a long history of efforts to boycott, divest from Israel, and previously voted against kicking out convicted criminals. So I don't believe that she is going to be any more willing, perhaps willing, but certainly not more able to force through these kinds of changes. What is needed is a complete overhaul and enforcement of the laws. And the Labour Party is not going to do that, not least because core elements of their voter base benefit from non-enforcement or the weak enforcement of immigration laws. It's much like the Democrats in the U.S.
So I mean, the UK is going to continue sliding away based on what you're saying with respect to free speech and secure borders.
I would expect at least another year of slide. I expect that things are going to hit a wall, probably a financial one, and that they may certainly Starmer will be gone before 2029, which is when the next elections have to be held. But I think the election is going to be before then. I think they will call an election in late 26, perhaps early 27, sometime around then. The country has become ungovernable, and the party who arrived in power a year ago, full of bright ideas, have completely disintegrated under pressure, just as the previous conservative ones did, which indicates that the problem isn't just one party or the other, it's systemic. In the same way as Donald Trump saw that, and many people around him understand that, but the problems of the United States were systemic ones. And Britain has only now I think people are beginning to grasp it. Actually, we've got to do something drastic in the way that Thatcher did after 1979. And it's going to be an ugly business in the long haul, I think.
All right, well, what everyone wants to know is, what is it going to take to get Prince Harry and King Charles together? Because that's where it all starts to turn around.
My personal opinion is, what is it going to take to keep Harry in California? Britain is running out of money, but I think there would be massive public support for sending some of it to keep him there. No, I hope that they're reconciled, and I hope they do it in a neutral location like in Iceland or somewhere like that, halfway.
Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Take care. And Dominic joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders and developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Laboratory studies have shown that certain nutraceuticals not only protect the heart, the kidney, and the brain, but also enhance their function. These nutraceuticals are found in Virago. Here's what a Virago user has to say.
Hi, my name is Dan, a retired Navy SEAL, and I have CHF, chronic heart failure, bad circulation, and many other problems with my health. And my VA doctor told me about a product called Virogo, and I started taking it, and I was able to get out of the wheelchair. My legs are not swollen anymore. My feet aren't swelling anymore, and it's just really made a lot of difference, and I thank God for it. And I attribute my recovery to using Virogo regularly.
Order online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Have you heard a lot of buzz about tariffs?
No.
Really?
What's a tariff?
It's a tax on imported goods.
Well, I've never heard of tariffs because 92.3% of Penny Mustard's furniture is made in the USA.
True.
In fact, most of it is built by local craftsmen and women right here in the Midwest.
And locally sourced furniture will never have a tariff on it.
Can we talk about this later? I'm tired of hearing about these tariffs.
So I guess you can say that all this talk about tariffs is taxing.
PennyMustard.com.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll return to our conversation about those dismal NAEP test scores, and also hear the argument as to why America needs tough grading at the higher education level. Solveig Gold and Joshua Katz, both Princeton alums and now researchers and academics, think tankers, join us at 8:38 to discuss. That's Solveig Gold, Joshua Katz at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 63 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Justice P. Scott Neville Jr. will be the next Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. Neville was selected by the state's High Court, making him the second black Chief Justice in Illinois history. His 3-year term begins on October 26th. An installation ceremony will be held on October 24th in Chicago. One person is dead and 3 others hurt following a crash in McHenry County. Authorities say the 2-vehicle accident happened yesterday in the 2500 block of Ringwood Road in unincorporated McHenry, when a Ford Explorer collided head-on with the Toyota Highlander. The driver of the Highlander died. The driver of Explorer and 2 children were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities are investigating a deadly drive-by in the South Shore neighborhood. Police say the victim was on the sidewalk last night in the 7400 block of South Kimbark Avenue when someone in a white vehicle fired multiple shots. The victim suffered a gunshot wound to his head and died at the hospital. So far, no arrests have been made. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder always brings the facts.
And one of the things that the FBI has done is studied the sort of psychology and just the phenomenon that we live through uniquely in this country.
Uniquely in this country? If you compare the annual death rate from mass public shootings from January 2009 to December 2015, for example, death rate per million, number 1 was Norway. U.S. isn't until number 11.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking to refinance a home after a divorce, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender.
Today, meet Lori, 50, social worker, score 650, income 90 G's a year. Called to refinance her mentally abusive ex-husband off the mortgage and title of their marital home per the divorce decree. Team Hochberg loan officer Anna Webdell helped Lori remove her ex-husband from the mortgage and title of the home, pay off debt totaling over $60,000, which included her attorney's fees, and saved her over $1,000 a month. Let's review. Team Hochberg loan officer Anna Webdell helped Lori remove her mentally abusive ex-husband from the mortgage and deed of the marital home, pay off all her debt, attorney's bills, and saved her over $1,000 a month. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 23 minutes. Outbound, about 24 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, about 37 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 63 minutes. Outbound, 32 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 55 minutes. Outbound, 27 minutes. This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the GIF master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk available on straighttalk.com or Walmart. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 81. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies and a low of 62. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 80. By Friday, anticipate very warm weather with a blend of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, the Wall Street Journal, referring to those National Assessment of Educational Progress test scores that came out yesterday. Brutal. We're referring to them as, quote, another K-12 education disaster. Many states have dumbed down their standardized tests to make schools look better, but NAEP provides a painful reality check. In 2024, 45% of 12th graders, that'd be seniors, perform below basic in math. It's not just talking about the proficiency, 22% proficient, 1 in 5. 45% below basic in math of seniors. 32% below basic in reading. 8th grade science scores were hardly better, 38% rated below basic. In all three exams, students scored on average lower than on the most recent exam in 2019. Reading scores were about 10 points lower than when the exam was first administered in 1992. How much money have we poured in over the last 3 decades to K-12 government school systems? So that's happening on the one end. And on the other end, as our next guest, document in a piece they wrote for the Journal. Everybody in the Ivy League's getting an A. In point of fact, there was an interesting piece in The Atlantic that corresponds to the piece our next guest co-authored, by Rose Horowitz, entitled "The Perverse Consequences of the Easy A." Listen to this passage. Without the threat of poor grades, students have largely stopped trying in their courses. Harvard psychologist Steven Pinker told me, the author, that student performance on the multiple choice portion of his final exam, which he has kept mostly the same, has declined by 10 percentage points over the past 2 decades, even as he gives out more A's. An incoming Harvard junior who requested anonymity to avoid affecting her future job prospects told me that for all the hand-wringing about student self-censorship, her peers mostly don't read texts closely enough to form opinions in the first place. Melanie Kamet, a Harvard International Affairs professor, said, quote, "I feel like college has become almost anti-intellectual. This is the place where we're supposed to deal with big ideas, and yet students are not really engaging with them." Well, all of that doesn't portend very well for the future of Western Civ, it would seem. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Solveig Gold, Senior Fellow in Education and Society at the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, and Joshua Katz, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Solveig and Joshua, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Dan.
Well, which sort of dismal topic would you like to cover first, K through 12 education or the Ivy League?
It's sort of funny you should have started with the NAEP because of what we wrote about, as you've just told your listeners, is college, is universities, is the Ivy League. But the fact is that the entire system is trouble. Solveig and I are very interested in K-12 education as well as college and university education. But the fact is that we know more about college and university education than we do about K-12. But this is one of the problems. Many people who care about college and university education are only now waking up to the problem, to the issue that the problem starts much, much, much earlier. So I hope in the years ahead, and I think both of us can say this, that we will spend more time on K-12 issues as well, because the problems run very, very deep. I'm sure you can get
and we are, after all,
tell you all about grade inflation there as well.
Solveig, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying we are the parents of a 2-year-old, so we certainly are going to care a lot about K-12 education.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. Well, I mean, and it seems like, there. I mean, I don't know. Going back to when I was undergrad, it seemed like it was sliding, but it seems like maybe the slide has increased in pace over the last decade, and in part, I take that from Solveig, your experience as a freshman at Princeton, which is a little bit closer removed than Joshua's is.
Yes, well, Joshua and I grew up 6 blocks, 25 years apart, I always say, but we had the same experience when we got to college. We had both gone to New York private schools, been top students, got into our Ivies, I to Princeton, Joshua to Yale, and we get there thinking we're just hot stuff. And first thing that happens, we write papers on Homer. Mine was on the Odyssey, and Joshua's was on the Iliad, I believe. And we both got the same grade. We both got a C+, a grade that was so bad, I think I actually laughed more than I cried. I couldn't even conceive of a C+. But, it was a really important moment because it made us both realize, gosh, maybe we don't know as much as we think we know. Maybe we're at college for a reason. We're actually here to learn something, not just to get a, gold star on a resume. We're actually here to be taught. And professors, I think, and administrators as well have forgotten this. They forget that that they have knowledge to impart to students. They are not just, a service that students are paying for. They actually have a role in forming young people and young citizens.
Well, how do you react, either one of you? How do you react? Steven Pinker's been at Harvard for a long time. So there's obviously something going on at Harvard with respect to his tests. And he talks about not just the references, as I read, not just the reference in the decline of the test scores, but the fact that the test scores are declining while he's still giving out more A's. So something is happening, too, in terms of maybe at an administrative directive level where Professor Pinker, even though you're this renowned professor and so many others at the Ivy League schools, too, here's the new Jerusalem. Here's what we're doing. And you're going to go along, and that's just going to be what it is.
Yeah, I don't suppose that it's an administrative directive, but the administration doesn't, I think, particularly care, and there are obvious reasons for this. Students are paying customers, their parents are paying customers, or so it seems these days, and you want your customer to be happy, and one way of making sure the customer is happy is to throw around A's like candy. So, it's not a directive. It's sort of benign neglect. And of course, professors like to be liked too. I mean, I was a professor at Princeton for many years, and there were some courses that I graded very, very hard, and there are others that, frankly, I didn't grade nearly as hard as I ought to have done. And there are many reasons for this. I can certainly be criticized for that. But, sometimes if it was a question between giving a borderline case of an A- or a B+, you might think, well, it doesn't really matter, so you make it an A-. I mean, I don't think that in general I gave people A's when they deserved C's. I don't even think I gave people A's when they deserved B's. But, there was always a little bit of a feeling around there that, you might push it up a little bit.
And so is the point that, I mean, look, you're coming here for the credential and the networking. We're going to give you the credential, and you're going to do the networking at your own pace. And that's that. I mean, we're not going to create any, we're not going to make any trouble creating any waves by trying to, force you to engage where you think it's beneath your time or effort.
I think that's right.
I mean, that's a pretty sad commentary on the Ivy League, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sad commentary on the Ivy League. It's a sad commentary on all sorts of places, not just the Ivy League.
It's a national scandal. I mean, it means we're really depriving students of their meeting their full potential. Sometimes people need a push. You're used to getting A's in high school. I mean, we've heard about, you were just talking about how terrible K-12 education is. But students are getting A's there without knowing anything, and they get to college. And they need that push sometimes to stop being lazy and meet their potential. And colleges are not giving them the push that they need and that the nation needs.
There's an interesting piece by Rob Henderson over at the Free Press, and it sort of dovetails with this, talking about the downward mobility of some of these elites and what that.
It's a wonderful piece. It's actually, I have to say, I think that's one of the very, very best pieces that Rob has written. It's really good.
And
you
so
should really read that piece.
Yeah, and speak to that, because he talks about how that downward mobility among people who have expectations to have the world at their fingertips, and they don't really financially, particularly as relative to their expectations, relative maybe to their parents or grandparents, it plays out in some disturbing ways.
Yes. Well, of course, they do have resources at their fingertips. This article by Rob, which appeared in the Free Press maybe yesterday or the day before, is about the 10% who want to be the 1%, or the 1% who want to be the 0.1%.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not talking here about downward mobility from low down on the ladder. This is about downward mobility from the top. Solveig and I, as she pointed out, and as we say in our journal piece, both went to fancy New York private schools, right? We are undeniably in the top 10%. What Rob is talking about is people like us.
Well, right, but it's the expectation game, and as he references. Durkheim saying the more one has, the more one wants, and so they're starting from that place, and they expect that the prestige and the money will just come, even if they sort of have the work life of a dilettante, and it's not, and it engenders sort of resentment, and that can manifest itself in all kinds of destructive ways, politically and even criminally.
Right. And then the world seems to like this.
And one of the points we make in our piece is that, the effect of grade inflation is political, because you are, you're telling students that they know things when they don't know things. And now they have this kind of unearned confidence and a lack of humility when they go out into the world engage with people, and they're unwilling to listen to the people around them, right? And so then you end up with this breakdown of civic friendship that we have nationwide. And I think you can trace that back. I mean, among many other causes, you can trace it back to the great inflation scandal in our universities. And
do you guys, I mean, do you see any sort of pushback within these universities coming, particularly with some of the changes in leadership in the recent years?
I can't say that I see anything coming. It's going to have to come probably from the other end. I mean, Solveig just spoke, and I agree with everything she just said, with very high-minded rhetoric about self-understanding and what you don't know. But the fact is that handing out A's to people who don't know anything has real consequences in the real world. You can't distinguish anymore. An employer can't distinguish anymore. Somebody who wants to hire you as a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant or anything can't distinguish anymore between somebody who really knows stuff, sort of knows stuff, and doesn't know stuff at all. And at some point, that problem, which people have been noticing for a while, is going to get so great, and maybe that will then force colleges and universities, and for that matter, K-12 education, to shape up a bit. But no, I can't say that I see anything happening right now.
Well, that said, let's give Harvard a little credit here. Rose Horowitz's piece in The Atlantic talks about the fact that Harvard is, in fact, trying to address this problem. We'll see if it amounts to anything. But, the impetus for The Atlantic piece is that Harvard was now thinking about doing something.
Yeah, I mean,
sure. I mean, Harvard is now thinking about doing all kinds of things, and maybe it is slightly doing it. Right? It's no longer the worst-ranked institution in the FIRE rankings, which came out again this week. It's just one of the worst. That's great.
It's not exactly a breakneck pace in terms of reform, but I mean, what you're describing too. I mean, the implications piece of it, I think, is important, and it's not. And for professions much more important than lawyers. I'm recalling the Maitland Jones being pushed out of NYU because he was too tough in the organic chemistry course. That if you want to be a doctor, you gotta pass organic. That's a weed out course. That's a course you gotta pass with flying colors if you want to be a medical professional. And if you're not getting past Maitland Jones, then maybe you shouldn't be in medicine.
That's correct. And Mate was my colleague at Princeton for many, many, many years, and he was a legendary teacher of organic chemistry. Of course, organic chemistry was hard. People understood that it was hard, and he was much loved. Well, those days are long gone.
And don't even get me started on the extra time epidemic, where students at major law schools, med schools, et cetera, all have diagnosed mental disorders that allow them to get extra time on their exams. So even the exams themselves, cannot be fairly graded.
So does the impetus for reform come through competition? Do we need more University of Austins and other sort of post-secondary educational options to put pressure on these institutions of yore to change their ways?
We do. I think we also are seeing a growing number of university presidents from universities that are usually ranked just below the Ivies, right? Like the president of Vanderbilt, or I guess he's called the chancellor. He's making a big push to reform Vanderbilt and to reform higher education generally. There was a great piece in The Atlantic about sort of the battle between university presidents at the moment, with President Eisgruber of Princeton on the one hand and the presidents of Vanderbilt and WashU on the other. Perhaps there can be some real leadership coming from these, I don't know if you want to call them second-tier institutions that have traditionally vied for the top with the Ivies.
Solveig Gold is a senior fellow in education and society at the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. Joshua Katz, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Solveig and Joshua, great to talk to you again. Thank you for joining us.
Great to talk to you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
And they joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One. your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dave Swirsky's done it again, helping us cope with the Bears' loss on Monday night against the Vikings. Here's the Swirsky parody song, just in time.
Started out hot up 6-17, winning true three-quarters, so how could it be? They fell apart and ripped out our hearts. It felt like we were on the road to victory, but then in the fourth quarter, let JJ score tree and fell apart and ripped out our hearts. Ooh, having deja vu. Ooh, had a big lead, they blew. The Bears ripped out our hearts after such a fast start. The Bears blew it.
That's pretty good.
The Bears ripped out our hearts. 0-1 now to start. No way, JJ. Not again, I'm feeling that familiar pain. Hopes were up so high, but then let down again. They fell apart and ripped out our hearts. Is the team in trouble? The fans' fears arise. To start out with the tough loss featured on prime time, they fell apart and ripped out our hearts. Yeah, like a kick to the jewels. Yeah, through tree we could not lose, but oh, the Bears ripped out our hearts after such a fast start. The Bears blew it. The Bears ripped out our hearts. 0-1 now to start. No way, JJ.
Swirsky's so good. I mean, it's really good. I like it better than Motley Crue's Kickstart My Heart. Obviously, the parody song it was based on. Really good. And, congratulations, J.J. McCarthy, Nazareth's very own, Nazareth High School, for a time before he went to IMG, thanks to COVID. Also this, too. Maybe this is something that Coach Ben Johnson wants to consider. Did you see what the Syracuse football head coach did after his team won? They beat University of Connecticut 27-20, but head coach Fran Brown didn't think the performance was up to standards. Guys not running to get lined up, guys not running to the ball. I want to celebrate the win with people, but I'm so upset. I'm mad as heck right now. So what do you have him do? You see this on the field? Fans are leaving the stadium. His team is running sprints. They're running wind sprints from the end zone to the 10-yard line back and forth to impress upon them the standards they must meet. All right, just a consideration. Thanks for joining us today. It is now 9 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
No inflation. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump just posted that with 3 exclamation points on Truth Social, reacting to a better-than-expected update on wholesale prices. And he again demanded the Federal Reserve Chairman he calls a disaster, Jerome Powell, must lower interest rates, which could happen at the Fed meeting next month.
The producer price index prices at the wholesale level declined 0.1%.